balance information, and we had some questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the phone down here so you can listen in.
So Kurt, when can we take a look at those transactions?
So the profit and loss I'm looking at here
Kurt, when can we take a look at those transactions?
doesn't really show it. What
Okay.
transactions are you asking about?
Let's see.
Is this some stuff I did in the past that you have questions about? Because we're gonna do this in the meeting, is what I said.
Okay, so it'll be during the meeting.
Sometime probably at the end of the meeting. If it's not on the agenda, then we'll put it at the end of the meeting. Profit and loss. Okay. Like I said, I've got copies of all this stuff, so if y'all want it, I'll forward it to you. So we're gonna go ahead and start this meeting.
Is there any issues of me providing certain people the transactions? Because I'm getting questions on that.
What are you talking about?
The transactions on the bank account.
You've got access to the bank account. You
Right,
can share it with
right.
anybody you want.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem with it. I'm transparent. So
Okay.
if you want to show people transactions, you're more than welcome to. Okay, so we're gonna start this meeting now, Eric. I'm gonna go ahead and call that meeting to order. Darren, if you want to record who's present, if you've already done that, can you confirm?
Only one person I do not know.
Okay, and who's that?
Paul Wahardo. And I'm on doc 1760. Is that spelled like GUAJARDO?
Okay, I understand Dave Martin's out sick. Other than that, we've got a quorum, it looks like. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Everybody got copies of the agenda about 2-3 days ago? Did everybody review those?
You have an extra copy, or?
You mean the minutes or the agenda? What are we
Yeah,
talking
the
about?
actual agenda. It's on this.
I saw it, okay.
Okay. Actually, that's what we're looking at, is the meeting agenda right now.
I think Eric wanted to add something to the agenda, but he
Yeah.
never told me what it was.
Yeah, I did email that, but it's to look at these financial transactions.
What financial transactions are you talking about?
Well, I've got them right here. There's a number of them.
How many of them?
Well, we can start going through them.
How many, like 10, 20? Can you just answer the question? We want to keep this meeting concise, so how many are we talking?
Is that something that he can produce in writing, that request that instead of bringing it up in a meeting?
Well, I think there's some people here that would like to see this.
That's fine, but last minute is not really a good idea. You
Well, I could not get this added. I couldn't get anything added last month either.
should just make an email request. Okay,
Okay,
we're gonna
all
move
the
forward for the
transactions
sake
here.
of time.
Kurt, are walk-on items, or just? I have
Walk-on items?
Two walk-on items, do I need to state those now, or just bring them up at the end of the meeting?
Please bring them up at the end. Okay, the minutes I know was an issue. Everybody was sent copies of the December minutes to approve. Now, there were some items on those that were executive session. There was quite a bit of detail that Darren added, which I appreciate, to the December minutes. At that time, there was a couple of people on the board. However, Jimmy wanted to make those minutes a little more concise to stay in following with the standards. I'm okay with the detail being put on those minutes personally, but we do need to get those approved. Darren, I know you were on the board at the time. Obviously, since you put those notes in the December minutes, I'm assuming you're approving those December minutes from December, from your time on the board.
I would approve them.
Okay, so that's one approval for December. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve the December minutes, Darren's version. I just sent that out about 4 or 5 o'clock today. So Jimmy, do you approve those minutes?
Yeah, I'll take them.
Okay,
I think I'd have to abstain since I wasn't
Right.
at that meeting.
let's see.
Yeah.
Nazar, are you still there?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, you were there in December, so do you approve those minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Who else was there? Okay, so it was Eric, do you approve the
I
December
do
minutes?
approve Darren's, minutes, yes.
Okay, so that's a quorum, so
Darren
those
does
are.
great minutes.
He does. I agree. So that passes there, so December was approved. We need to get the executive sessions written in a format that the regular members can see what that was discussed there with that detail. I know we discussed some items that, were considered executive session type items that we can't, divulge for obvious reasons. So that needs to be done sometime soon. I'll make a note. Past December. So Jimmy, if we can, we need to work on January and February just to get caught up. Okay.
I got them right here. All right, you wanna hear them?
Let's
all right.
take January.
February sixth, you want January?
Yeah, let's go in order. We did December. I'd like
Let's
to
go
do
to
January.
January. What do we got here for January? January 16th. All right, the meeting started at 7:10. Board attendees were Court Material, the president, Eric Springston, Jimmy Schlomont, Rick Wall, Darren Baird. Member attendee introductions was Officer Adam Hausler, Kent Brownhill, Jerry Aho, and Javier Schmidt. Meeting was called to order at 7:07. Had a quorum of voting members were present. Topics for the night was freeze and plumbing. Updated minutes received. Evidently, we didn't approve the minutes, but I guess that's what we just now did. President's report, accomplishment and objectives. Got the valves open for the freeze, but did not have enough flow to prevent breaks in all the docks. Got 3 estimates for plumbing repairs. Fire lines replacement. Rick Wall stepped down as treasurer. Bookkeepers got info to Kurt today. Balances checking was $54,588.65. Finances balance was $60,949.79. CPA audit is ready to go for a price around $2,000. Our bookkeepers have never done an audit. Rick Wall says that we effectively get an audit every month. Jimmy reminds us that the DCCR says that we have to have an annual audit. Discussion of security cameras. Do we have links? Do we have prices? Prices not brought to board meeting. No electrical quotes available. A management fee and charges. We discussed that, I guess. Management fee and charges, that was in regards to what we owed. There were some questions about the fees for the swimming pool and the trash and some other stuff, condo fees that Associa had overlooked, and we had to reimburse about 1.5 years worth of fees. So anybody had any questions on that? I think
Is that what happened in December?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why that big,
I have a big question. I had questions about that when I was trying to work on the
yeah,
budget.
yeah, it was about 1.5 years, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of an
Good
important
law.
thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got Trans World Collection Services waiting to train someone. Kurt and Eric to get trained on how to use software.
No, that was us two.
This was.
Wait, you were there.
This was
in
January.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay. Kurt says the AR reports have been delivered on time. The bookkeeping says that Kurt is a piece of what? POC, I guess he's the primary person in charge of the account. Discussion about strategy to collect from delinquent accounts. Notices need to be sent long before the accounts become heavily in debt. One strategy is to go after the most delinquent accounts and who owes the most. Rick motioned to elect Dave Martin to the board. Motion seconded and approved by the majority. Budget for dock repairs. Fire lines are our highest priority, so all other expenditures are on hold. Liverboard water up and running. Fire lines on Liverboard side are all broken from the freeze. Motion by Eric to use our self-insured savings account. Wait,
I never said
motion made by Eric to not use our,
that.
reserve savings account to fix the fire lines. Rick seconded the motion. Motion passed. Not to use the, reserve account for fixing the fire lines. Kurt has plumber on tap to repair the fire lines. He is working on it at this time. Main valves on the non-liveaboard are leaking and subject to failure. Jerry Aho recommends high-level estimate to get fire line fixed. Eric to call and ask Nassau Bay Fire Protection if we can run extension hoses on temporary basis. Jerry Aho advocates a temporary solution. Guest Javier Smith advocates for a minimum solution immediately. Guest Donna advocates for an immediate repair of all lines and is an emergency. Discussion about what constitutes an emergency warranting spending from savings. Guest Javier Smith recommended buying a sump pump to use in emergencies. The board agrees to look into this as an emergency backup. Domestic water lines, dock replacement 1617, it was a total loss during the freeze. $8,524.59 to rerun the domestic water line. These are three separate quotes. We got three separate quotes. $8,524 and some change, $7,200, and $7,400 for the three quotes. We went with, what did we go with? We went with the most expensive one.
No, I thought we went with the one was in the middle.
Board approved, yeah, I don't remember which one we went with. I don't think we voted on that at this time. This was just our quotes. Okay, board approved Donna Laguerra's boat, a 2024 Aqua Lodge dual stateroom, 42 foot by 12 foot, where we will have our next board meeting. Anyway, the meeting was adjourned at 8:40.
Okay,
Is that close?
that sounds pretty
That sounds
close.
pretty good, yeah.
January
I wasn't there,
16th.
but it sounds pretty good.
January
Pretty
16th.
good.
That was January 16th. All right. How about our little special board meeting that we had February the 6th?
Hold on, right there. We got it. Let's try and approve January.
All
so
right, yeah,
it's on
let's
the
make a
table.
motion to approve January.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
make a
yeah.
motion to approve January. I'm fine with it.
Again, I'm abstaining.
Okay.
You're-
The
you
Nasser,
People that were present. Nazar? That's one of Nazar wouldn't add anything.
Yeah, I approve.
okay, yeah, he was not there. Eric, me, Rick Wall, and Darren. Darren, you have to approve it.
Yeah.
Those sound very familiar, I approve.
Wonder what?
POC, if you want
Darren
to.
Yahoo's not here, and Javier Smith is not
Say
here.
again, Darren?
all throughout.
POC is point of contact. It's
Yeah.
not shorthand.
Okay, so
Approve
Darren,
those?
Huh?
I mean,
Approve those?
Yeah, because Darren did them, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Darren's liable, for sure.
that was January. Write this down.
So that's 4 people.
Okay, so we've
Yeah,
got,
it's a quorum, yes.
Yeah. All right, 4 people approved of the minutes on January.
all right, write down past
Maybe
them.
Hamlet?
Okay, so that now we'll begin February.
All right. Board special meeting.
Are these the ones written by Darren also? All these are Darren's?
No,
Okay.
Darren wasn't present for those 2 meetings, I don't believe.
And the special one for
He
February?
was late arrival for February 13th.
Yes.
He was not present for the 6th.
So this is where, February, did you write those minutes?
Yes, I think John.
I was the secretary, yes, I
Yeah,
wrote
we
it.
got it there, got it there.
Yeah, those are the ones where you all came on
Came on
board.
board.
So we can
Okay.
go over February's, and we've got 2 other people here who can approve or disapprove those.
Okay. February 6th, meeting started at about 7:07. Board attendees by Zoom. A quorum of voting members attended: Kurt Latero, President; Eric Springston; Jimmy Schlomock, Secretary; Nasser Hempel, and Dave Martin. Member attendees via phone conference call was John Olear, and late arrival was Darren Baird. Okay, welcome. Quorum of voting members was present. Kurt Latero introduced John Olear and nominated him for a position on the board. Kurt Latero proposed using Cheryl Bahagia with Quadros, Miguel, and Crosby to replace David Pace as the Marina's legal representative. With the following, the president shall be the liaison to the contact the attorney. The board can assign another board member to contact the attorney. All correspondence with the law firm has to be board approved. All email correspondence to and from the attorney must be copied to the board. Court Latero proposed using Nagashi and Carter PLLC to do our annual audit. And the meeting adjourned at 7:40.
There's one small
Nice and
provision that was
simple.
left out on that, and that was just a summary, from the law firm, whenever there is dialogue with the law
Eric,
firm.
just to keep in mind, with these
Regarding
meetings,
the
you
phone
have,
call.
Eric, you have to raise your hand to make comments on anything that's going on in the meeting.
If we're gonna follow Robert's Rules of Order, let's follow them, we're not following.
We're not going to just
I
jump
don't wanna
in,
raise my hand like a child, but,
but you have to raise your hand, anybody has to raise their hand if they wanna make a comment or ask a question. That's the way the rules work.
and what are we following, Robert's Rules of Order?
We've all agreed to this many times.
We're not following Robert's Rules of Order.
Right now, we're going over the agenda, and we're gonna make a motion to pass.
Okay, but it is
February.
missing that one provision,
Okay,
can
you
you
just
please
interrupted
add
me
that?
for a second time, Eric.
Oh, excuse me.
You gotta follow the rules to keep order for these meetings so they go smoothly. If you
Okay,
have a
well, my
question
hand
or
is
comment,
raised.
raise your hand and I will.
Let me, okay, we're in high school now, look at my hand raised.
Well, some people need rules, and I will go ahead and let you speak for 3 minutes.
Okay, can we add in that provision? That was an important provision, it's not dialogue, please.
Your pin's right there.
Can you explain that? Can you explain that?
Sure, any phone consultation with the law firm,
Can you explain that? Can you explain that to the board so that everybody on the board understands what you're requesting?
sure. What I'm requesting is the same thing we approved already, was any consultation that the liaison for the law firm, you provide that dialogue would occur, a summary to the board members, all board members. We approved that.
Now, is that verbal or is that just,
I don't, we didn't state that, we just, but I say written would be easiest probably, that way we have proof of it.
Okay.
Or whatever you guys think, so.
So all email correspondence to and from the attorney must be copied to the board.
All that's correct, the last provision is just, if there's a phone consultation or in-person consultation, we agreed that a summary would be provided to all board members.
All correspondence with the law firm has to be board approved.
Did we agree? I don't remember us all agreeing on that.
We did agree.
I remember.
I recorded it, I have a video recorded.
Do you have it here?
You have that with you?
No, I don't have it with me.
Okay, well, we need to see that, because I remember agreeing to see, including the board.
Okay, does anybody disagree with that? 'Cause that to me
I
is-
agree to include the board on the correspondence. I have no problem with that.
How about if I scratch through email and just put all correspondence to and from the attorney must be copied to the board?
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
I'm good with that.
I'm fine with that as
I'll
president.
just scratch out email, all correspondence, okay, let me read it one more time. The board can assign another board member to contact the attorney. All correspondence with the law firm has to be board approved. All correspondence to and from the attorney must be copied to the board.
Yeah,
Yep.
Salute.
okay.
Alright. you
I
did
have,
that.
I have to come
Go
clean.
ahead.
I have to come clean. I had a half-hour conversation with Sharu.
I gotta record that.
I had some questions and I did not understand the rules exactly, so I didn't understand exactly what we said we had to do.
And it costs exactly $0.
Hold it
Yeah.
there.
We're not worried about a $0 transaction.
If you want to,
Reverse a little.
It is- it is-
admonish me
it
or
is
fine
handled
me,
with that.
you're welcome.
He's got his flog thing, he'll flog you outside for doing that. No, there was no charge for that.
Okay.
Alright, so we're
I
all
knew
in-
that before contacting them with
Do I need to
Sharu,
get
that there would not be
everybody
a
to sign,
charge
do I
for
need to
it.
get everybody to initial this? So that,
Can we just say one more time exactly what the rules are?
Yes.
I am still confused.
still confused, too.
Can a board member call Sharu and ask him a question?
From what I understand, what we just discussed, if the board itself approves a member on the board to contact the attorney, and the board approves that, then that's fine.
So if I have a legal question about, so that I can do what I want, so that I can, my actions are, I know for a fact that I've heard from the attorney that they are correct, If I have that question, I first have to ask the board if it's okay for me to contact.
Correct.
That's what.
Which is fine with me, I just wanna make sure that's what it is.
That's what I'll
Okay,
do.
that's fine.
So make sure we
And
get that.
and make a
down.
summary of that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time I do call him, I will ask everybody to have that conversation.
Yeah, and this has been discussed before, and I understand Erica contacted Sharu, a couple times also. Knowing the rules, which is kind of confusing why you would do that.
Well, first off, it costs $0 for both myself
Irrelevant.
and for John to contact the law firm. So, and I knew this going in.
Cost
So
is
we didn't
irrelevant.
cost them $8,000. We cost
Doesn't
them
say anything about
$0.
There's nothing about cost. If you contact the attorney, I'm the main point of contact, and I will CC everybody on that. You need board approval to contact. Those are your own rules that you broke. Twice.
I didn't know.
You have an excuse.
Oh, he has an excuse. Oh, thank you,
You
Kurt.
didn't know the rules. You did.
I didn't know the rule, I apologize.
So these are rules. You gotta follow your own rules. Okay, so that
Yeah.
detail is gonna be put in there on that minutes, right, Jimmy, what Eric's requesting?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Nazar.
Yeah, so if I contacted the attorney, it's not about how much they charge or don't, because it seems like everybody that, we've had contracted with the marina has quit on us and charges $0 to quit on us.
Okay.
Because people were, everybody and their mom was over there trying to contact them for personal reasons, for marina reasons, whatever it was. And so like I said, we've had the lawyers, the bookkeepers, the secretary, like everybody's quitting. And it wasn't about the money. That's all I got.
Okay, noted. Thank you. So, you're gonna put those details in those minutes, and with putting those details in there, do we have a quorum? I'm gonna make a motion, we pass February minutes, including Eric's, addendum in there. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay,
Yes, we're voting now.
3,
Approved.
4,
All right.
I approve.
okay. Nazar?
Yes, I'm on board.
Okay, so it looks like with everybody here, I was gonna say passed. So now we're up to date with the minutes being approved.
No, we're done.
What do we got?
February 13th.
What was February 13th? Was that an executive?
That was the following Monday, we had a follow-up meeting.
Follow-up meeting, okay.
All right,
That was a special meeting, correct?
another special meeting, February the 13th.
Keep
It
it on
says
time.
that this one was held by Zoom.
And this isn't, this
was a
was
Zoom
a
meeting.
special meeting, right?
This was another special meeting, yes, February 13th, the following week.
We have regular monthlies and this is.
President Kurt called a special meeting of the Board of Directors at 6:07 PM. Meeting was held via Zoom. Those in attendance and constituting a quorum were Kurt Latero, President, Eric Springston, Board Member Jimmy Schlomock, Secretary Nasser Hempel, Dave Martin. Member attendees also by Zoom were John Olear and late arrival Darren Barrett. And a special phone conversation with Doug Coach, the head coach plumbing. Okay, topics for the night were unfinished business from previous Board of Directors meeting February the 6th. Kurt Latero moved to elect John Olear to the board. Seconded and passed without a dissent. Kurt Latero moved to appoint Sharu Bahagi as our legal representative. Seconded and passed without dissent. Latero moved to move forward with the annual audit to be provided by Nagishi and Carter. Discussion about pricing. A motion by Dave Martin was to table the audit until after tax season. Seconded and passed without dissent. Kurt made a motion to accept Jonathan Tulo's request for a boat lift for his slip 5 on dock 12. Motion seconded and passed without dissent. Kurt made a motion to accept the quote to rebuild Ray Hill's slip 9 on dock 12, with Ray agreeing to pay 1/2 of the cost. A phone conversation with Doug Coach with Ed Coach Plumbing about fire line repairs and main valve replacement and dock 16 and 17 repairs. Still on hold. Meeting was adjourned at 7:36.
Okay, making a motion to pass those minutes.
Second.
Sounds good.
I'm good with it.
I agree.
Nasser was there, Nasser was there.
Nazar?
Yes, put me down as yes.
Okay.
Dave Martin's not present, so.
He's not sick. Okay, that's a quorum. So February's, minutes for February 13th are approved. Okay, item 3, President's Report, Accomplishments and Objectives. The only thing that's really
Didn't
been
we have a
changed.
meeting? Didn't we have a meeting in February 16th? Let's see, report 13th. I don't see a February, we already approved the February minutes, right?
We approved both the
No.
February, regular minutes and this additional February 13th.
Well, but shouldn't we have one February the 20th though, right? What do we wanna do with that one? I don't see that one. I got January 16th, February the 6th, February the 13th, but I'm not seeing a February. March 20th, I'm not seeing a February.
I think you read them out.
We got 2 February so far.
Yeah, but, I mean, there should be a
We
meeting.
had a February 20th meeting.
We should have, yeah, we should have a February 20th. I'm not seeing it.
That's what I think I got on the board.
I did not bring that up. Oh, here it is. Here's one over here. Here's one over here. All right, February 20th, this was the monthly meeting. All right, President Kurt Lutero called a regular Board of Directors meetings at 7:25 at the Marina Point Condo Clubhouse. Those in attendance and constituting a quorum were Kurt Lutero, President, Eric Springston, Jimmy Schlomock, Secretary, John Oliar, Nasser Hemphill via phone call, Dave Martin via phone conference call. Member attendees were Detective Brian Hebert, Tony Laguerre, Kent Brown Hill, Dennis Pelletier, Jonathan Toulos, Darren Whitmarsh, Ray Hill and his wife, Graham Hawley, Suzanne Schlomock via phone conference, and Donna Laguerre via phone conference. Kurt moved to approve the February minutes. Second, and no dissent. I guess we did that. I guess that would be January minutes, no doubt. That should be January, not February. Right?
Yes.
That would have been the January minutes that we already approved. Okay. President's report, accomplishments and objective. Water lines on 12 and 13 have been repaired, waiting on material to complete 16, 17, and the main shut-off valves at the supply line. Electrical, is kinda on hold until we get caught up on the freeze damage repairs. Treasurer's report. We have no treasurer at this time, but are looking for new board members. Tony Laguerre presented the financial report. Bank balance and P&L can be requested by members. Balance checking, $48,368.46. Savings was $60,941.78. Jimmy Schlomock made a motion to accept the financials. Motion was seconded and approved with a majority. Eric Springston did not approve. Kurt Lutero made a motion to appoint John Toulos to the board. Motion seconded, motion passed with no dissent. A discussion about establishing a budget for future repairs. John Oliar volunteered to head up a committee for the annual budget and list the new board members with the Secretary of State as required. A brief discussion of security cameras. Discussion was tabled until further study. Using Molo Marina Management, which was approved and paid for by the previous board, as a database to monitor the marine and its members was tabled. A brief discussion ensued about using Transworld Systems, a collection agency. John Toulos and Eric Springston agreed to head up a committee to move forward with collections of past due accounts. Detective Brian Hebert gave a conclusion of his findings of the past board member and then president that no funds as claimed by the past board members from the marina were used illegally, suggesting an apology would be in order. The meeting adjourned at 9:00.
That sounds accurate to me.
Yep, sounds very
Anybody
accurate.
wanna
I agree.
modify that or change that?
I'm good with it. Anybody else can make a motion to approve these. It doesn't have to be me every time.
I second it.
Okay?
You're gonna second it
I'll
this
second
time?
it.
Yeah.
All right, so
Mine
John,
ain't
John,
exactly saying
John
something.
John made the motion and,
I mean, John
Jonathan.
T.
Jonathan.
Second it.
John and John.
Yep.
J and J.
J&J.
All right, so that is, February, that took care of February, guys.
Caught up.
Good deal.
Good. No moving.
Fast. So we're caught up.
We've really been falling down in that department. The minutes get pushed to the sidelines, and they're a really important part of what we do.
Very important.
All right. All right, so now on to, the March agenda for today.
All right.
I'll let you handle that, Kurt.
Okay, we're going through that right now.
What number are we on?
We're going through March 20th, President's report. Okay, so we did number 2, approve the minutes of the previous months. That's now been complete. Item 3, President's report, accomplishments and objectives. The only thing I have to report is I did make contact with Bill Etheridge. It was reported at the last meeting that we look into getting a marina management company. I spoke to Bill Etheridge about a week ago. He's still evaluating our marina. His main concern is the electricity readings. The rest of it, he's okay with. He has some more questions. I
Is this your
provided
company?
him
Okay.
a map of the marina. He's highly requesting that we get our meters up to date. He's concerned about reading the current meters that we have, so he's requesting that we go with the new technology where the meter readings are automatic.
Right.
So,
That would be the what, the Wi-Fi?
so to do this, we probably need Wi-Fi. And we did have a quote for updating our meters, and I put all that on hold, obviously, because of the freeze, because we didn't know how much that was gonna cost. So, just real quick on the status of our current plumbing situation is, Doug, Ed Koch Company was supposed to start repairing dock 16 and 17 last week. I have not seen him start on it yet, so I'm gonna reach out to him again. The last report was the 2 main valves, one for the liveaboard side here, and 16 and 17 were on order. Those 2 valves we're still waiting on, and so in the meantime, I requested he go ahead and begin the work on 16 and 17. Haven't seen it. In the meantime, we had another rupture, that was what, about a week ago?
We did.
Yep, we had another rupture. So he went ahead and took care of that first. It was another emergency repair. He's real bad about getting these invoices to us on time. So again, I'm gonna call him and so we don't fall behind and get blindsided a year or 2 or 3 years from now with the bill, and then people will question it. So I'm gonna ask him to go ahead and get us that invoice as soon as possible. So at this point, that's where we stand. And that's all I have to report as president for number 3. Question? Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so when we're talking about going forward with the management company, I'll do like John Tillis' idea. I mean, it's a trustworthy company. It seems to be a great idea. And when are we talking about embarking on this?
We've already started dialogue with Bill Etheridge. So he's waiting to hear from us now as far as the meters, which obviously requires the Wi-Fi. It's kind of why I wish Dave Martin was here, because one of his requirements was, let's kill the Wi-Fi until we have a need.
No,
for
he's
it.
good with the Wi-Fi now. I've had extensive dialogue with him.
So where we're at now at this point would be, how much are we spending on the plumbing, and do we have enough money in the budget to move forward with our modernizing our meters? So that's where we're gonna have to take a look at these numbers. But he's still evaluating us, Bill Etheridge, and he's waiting to hear back. If I tell him, yes, we've decided to move forward and getting these meters modernized, then that's gonna help him approach us with the contract. Okay, questions? We're gonna go in order. Go ahead.
Sure. My only question is probably more for Jimmy, so, but it was my understanding that the smart meters use, they actually transmit their signal through the wiring, not through wireless, so they really don't need Wi-Fi. That's just what I understand.
There's-
You know more than I did.
There's different systems.
Okay.
The system that I looked at, would be suitable for the liveaboards.
Uh-huh.
It would need, it's got its own computer.
Does it go through the,
No, it's-
actual electrical wires,
No,
or is it?
No, does not.
What,
No,
okay,
no.
cause
Sends out a signal.
I do know that, like, for your home smart meter.
Yeah,
It
but
goes-
those are very, very expensive to hook up. This
Okay.
is a plug and play. You pull the old meter out, you
Okay.
put the new meter in, it logs itself into the computer, it's a done deal.
That was my
You know,
question.
the computer's $2,500, the meters are $90 a piece, and the extender is $350.
Okay, and going to your question or somebody's question, when we come to my budget discussion, you know, the cost of all this stuff is something that I'm gonna be asking for feedback on, because I was not able to complete a budget without knowing a lot more information.
And one thing that I have in regards to your question over there a while ago, Dave Martin has another management company that he was touching base with a couple of years ago. That may be worth our touching base with them as well.
Yeah, we can look at both, I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, just compare and contrast.
And that's what I'm saying, Bill Etheridge has got plenty of work and he's really not jumping on us. And we've approached him before, I think Dennis can probably confirm that we have approached Bill Etheridge before and he didn't jump right on it. And he's kind of dragging his feet now, so it probably behoove us to keep our eyes open for someone else.
Absolutely.
So I just pulled up the quote for Vision Metering, that's the company that's offering to update our technology. So they've got item number one, it looks like that's $2,500. It's Insight software pre-installed on a laptop. It reads the data from data on demand. It says LaRa equipped meters or LTE equipped meters. Software allows for a collection of data from the data gates using an IP address, Ethernet connection, or USB connection. Item two, data gates. Data concentrator for vision radio meters, collects information from the meters within 1,000-yard line of sight distance, communicates from a concentrator to the internet via Ethernet. Maybe that answers your question, John.
We don't have any Ethernet cut cables out here, so be pure Wi-Fi with the extender.
Let's see here. And then item three, it says Vision ST meter forms 2S 240 volt, blah, 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 with data on demand radio. Lead time 16 to 20 weeks. So the total came out to 5,400. John?
I like that sounds like a fair price compared to if we had somebody going out to read all the meters. And I think any big management company, whether it's Etheridge or another company, is gonna require that as part of their program. Right off the bat, they're not gonna wanna send their person out here to read all these meters all day. And as we saw, all the meters are different. We got like 5 different kind of meters. Some of them are easy to read, some are very hard to read. So this way it'd be accurate, it'd be all recorded. So I think in the long run, that would, 5,000 up front versus paying somebody having to go do it all the time.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna pay that management fees easily within a year.
And I gotta tell you that, I mean, I know this might be a little bit out of turn, if you don't mind though, but I mean, our budget, I think can easily absorb that, but we can get to that when we get to it.
Yeah. Eric, I'm glad to give
Do
you
what we want.
Anyway, but yeah, I think that's a great idea. Maybe we can look at two other companies, see if they offer, just do some price checking. Dave did volunteer for now to read the meters if we need them to, but if we can take a look, maybe it's at 2 other companies and do some price checking, but I think it's a great idea. I think we should go forward with it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's technology. It needs to be done at some point.
For my turn, I agree with all of this. I think we do need to modernize, and I think one of the benefits is gonna be in the long run, this is gonna bring on management companies. By having a management company and the smart meters, we're gonna eliminate a lot of questions, accusations, misreadings, and accidents.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna eliminate the human factor here, and it's gonna be purely technology, so no one can question that. So I'm on board with it, and I think hopefully Dave Martin will be on board with that as well.
Yeah.
Volunteers are great to save us money. The problem is you're gonna get accusations, and it's not gonna be consistent. People will do it for a while and maybe quit doing it, they get tired of it. You got too many variables in there.
Absolutely.
I'm all for saving money, but, you know, I think in the long run, it's gonna benefit us quite a bit. And I know there's questions about the liveaboard side and non-liveaboard side, and who's paying for it. You know, we're not talking about trying to favor the liveaboard side, but I think, you know, we can look at the whole thing and come to an agreement, and then eventually, I think with time and the budget allows, we can have the whole marina done this way.
Absolutely.
And then it'll save us some, you know, I see a lot of benefits to it, is my
Absolutely.
point. So I'm on board with that. So that being said, that's the Bill Etheridge aspect. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, with that being said too, we're getting rid of these clock type meters that are difficult to read and replacing them with new electronic meters with the digital printout. It'll be a lot easier and simpler to read. There won't be as many mistakes reading the meters.
Right, and there's something.
$25 a piece for the meters.
Some benefit also, if we did say 20 meters at a time, what we could actually do is take some of the meters that are easier to read, those older meters that have numbers. Now, Dennis, as you're aware, you know, we've got these clock type meters, and there's actually a technique to read these things.
Yeah.
And depending on who's reading it, you can easily make an error, a rounding up or rounding down. So I don't know how many of those clock meters we have on the piers, but I would suggest if we did, say, 20 at a
I would
time,
not recommend that at all.
taking the ones that you can read easier than the clock meters and getting rid of those and swapping those out with the
They're
next level.
$25 for brand new meters. You're talking about taking old meters that we don't know how accurate they are and putting them over here, and then they're all over the place with the numbers. So you'd have to go back with all the numbers and write down all the numbers and keep track of all that. Whereas you plug a new meter in there, it starts at 0.
How many of these clock type meters do we have? Do we have an approximate number?
I don't know, I'm just about changed out all the ones that we're utilizing right now.
Okay, so if the budget allows anyway, you're proposing, let's just change them out with new ones then.
You know, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm for
$25
that.
For a brand new meter, plug it in and, not mess with an old meter that we don't know the accuracy of it.
Okay, go ahead.
But the amounts that you mentioned were total $5,400 roughly.
Right.
Did that include meters?
No, that just,
Yes, that includes meters.
yeah, let Jimmy answer that, actually, cause.
That includes meters. The meters are $90 a piece. They're plugging.
$90 a piece for 202 meters, which
No. We're not talking about the whole, marina. For
Okay.
now, there's so much electrical problems over here, it'd be another headache to try to put smart meters on the non-liveaboard side. There's not enough people that use, there's only like 5 or 6 people that use a substantial amount of electricity. You know, there's really no reason us to read them every month on the non-liveaboard side, you know. But no, that's just for the liveaboard side.
Okay.
And the way I see it, they put a smart meter, Texas Power and Light Company put a smart meter at my house. They billed me for it. I had to pay for it. So I'm thinking that,
Man, I didn't have.
we could recoup our money
Yeah,
for the meters. We put the meters in, you know, they put that on, add that to the bill.
Now, I did look at the DCCRs, and I don't think you can do that legally.
The DCCR says that you're responsible for your own electric, period.
But that's
Liveaboard
from the
side.
actual outlet to your boat.
I talked to Rick Wall about that, and we all
Yeah.
agreed, it's just like your house.
It's the same as your
Basically,
house.
You're responsible.
But if you take a look at the DCCRs and what it says.
We did, we looked at them very closely, actually, Rick and I did, and we kinda got into a disagreement about it, but, so what we both agreed though, and it wasn't a disagreement about what it meant in the DC, that was more of a disagreement on how people would interpret it, but basically what it's saying is, you're responsible as an owner for the outlet, the wiring going up to the meter, so that conduit and that wire and that outlet. And I'm fine paying out of my own
Well, I
pocket.
understand. I was speaking extensively with Jim Hastings, and he also confirmed the same findings. was that he's absolutely not in charge of anything beyond the plug and going to his boat. Everything else is marina response, is the association's responsibility.
If
So,
you reach these CCRs,
I did.
you're supposed to get your own electric meter and deal with your own electricity through the power company on the liveaboard.
You own an
side.
electric meter?
Yes. Yes, everything,
Not
you're
sure
supposed
about
to
that.
supply everything, just like you do at your own house.
Rick and I agreed it was probably the wiring from the meter.
I can show you that on the
No,
DCCR.
but here's the problem with our DCCRs though, and this is why Rick and I kinda got into it, was depending on how you interpret it. Now, you get somebody who doesn't wanna pay for their own, they're gonna interpret it differently. Now, we're all paying for it, whether we pay for it, put it on our bill, or the person pays up front. It's still, you're paying for it either way. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, it's just a one-time fee, right? $90 for the meter, and you're pretty much done.
Yeah,
That's just the meter, but, right, you're
Right, because the marina would pay for the computer,
For
laptop, the
setup,
Wi-Fi.
system, yeah,
Yeah.
the system.
No, that sounds reasonable to me.
No, it's definitely reasonable. I was just wanting to see and take a look at that provision, but I agree, it is
Okay.
reasonable. Yeah.
So in terms of like saying liveaboard, non-liveaboard, now obviously there's a lot more people on the liveaboard side that are using the meters.
Right.
But we do have a lot of slips on the liveaboard side that maybe are not being used. I don't know how you would feel, Jimmy, if, you know, we do the boats that are present there, and then the people that are on the non-liveaboard side take whatever's left over from that group and maybe do some of the non-liveaboard. I mean, that's just a thought. As far as reading the meters, I guess it could be, it's more convenient, obviously, we just did the liveaboard side, but I mean, instead of just going, whether it's liveaboard or not liveaboard, let's focus on the need and not necessarily if it's a liveaboard or non-liveaboard. If someone has a boat in that slip, I'm thinking, obviously, like people that are here full-time, they should get one and then move our way down and not just make it liveaboard, but make it liveaboard and non-liveaboard. Spill over, and then if someone rents out a slip on the liveaboard, go ahead and update that meter. So in other words, spend the money where there's somebody currently in a slip
Using.
and then grow it as we go.
Yeah.
To where it's not just saying, well, we're gonna do all the liveaboard, whether there's somebody in that slip or not. That's just something I'm
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
thinking in my mind, but
That
now,
sounds fair.
you know, people on the non-liveaboard side, I don't want them to, you know, kind of think we're playing favorites over there when it's really not about being favorites. It's just basically going where the need is.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, that's just something I wanted to throw out there real quick on the meter part of
Sounds
it.
fair.
But so these are all the things that I guess Bill, that we're just gonna, you know, be looking at in terms of taking us on as a client.
Absolutely.
And this other, management company that, who's introducing this? Is it Dave Martin?
David Martin.
Yeah, I mean, they might require the same thing, that we update our meters, so.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
And it
I mean,
makes,
it's a good thing to do anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Technology, come on.
yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you wanna use new technology? So
Absolutely.
I think we're all on board on this,
I think so too.
management company and updating our.
Yeah, definitely the management company.
Yeah, that'd be great, so that's item 3.
All right, so we're looking for a management company, and, we had a little discussion on smart meters and the options there, so that pretty much covers those two bases.
Okay, so item 4 is the treasurer's report. Obviously, we don't have a treasurer, but, I do have the copies of the information, and from the bookkeepers to send out to everybody, which a lot of it I'm sure is very similar to what the bank account, is showing. I did send out the bank portion of that to everybody via email about 3-4 days ago. Everybody got that, right? That file from, M&G Bank I sent out from.
I saw it.
Okay, so you guys have the financial information if needed. Financials, P&L summary, et cetera. If you guys want, I'll ask Tony to put it in that format.
I don't think we need that.
P&L,
Yeah, and all that, he does that usually, so.
if he wouldn't mind, that would be awesome, because it would help me, working on the budget, you know,
Okay,
if it doesn't take up too much time.
he's very quick at it, so I'm
That'd
gonna
be
go ahead and
awesome.
ask Tony to get us a regular.
I think,
Yeah. Yeah,
And like you said, you feel confident just with your general knowledge of the budget that we could afford that $5,400 to get that started. So
Yeah,
the management
so-
company could move forward if we,
yeah, I
Pull the trigger.
absolutely, well, I mean, you know, some of it's gonna come down to a philosophical discussion about how much we wanna keep in reserve, et cetera. And I don't really wanna go too deep into that until we get to the section where we're gonna talk about the
Okay.
budgets. But yes, I don't think we have any problems. I don't understand, quite honestly, why we consider ourselves so poor.
Yeah, we bring in approximately 14 grand a
A
month.
month, yeah,
Yeah. So as long as we're efficient, we've got money.
yeah.
So I think we need to have a dredge fund at some point.
Well, we could start, a little, twice a year, 3 times a year, we could do like a little, fish fry or something on the dock and have a little
Okay.
music and everybody pitches in $20, 30
Yeah.
bucks and put that money towards that fund.
Well, I mean, I think we should have like just set away a certain amount every month, dredge fund. No, it can't be touched for anything other than dredging in the future.
So I think some of that's gonna come into, I've, basically what I did is I put together a skeleton, budget worksheet with the numbers that I did know. And then I have questions for all of us that I wanna address to all of us when we get to that. And there's
Well, actually,
all these
that's,
questions that we're talking about.
we're there now, actually, it's, unfinished business number 5. So
Alright.
item A is
Perfect,
committee to discuss budget for the coming year, so
perfect.
there you go,
There you go.
perfect time.
Yep, perfect timing.
And,
Yeah, pass these down there.
What is this?
I'll pass it on.
I really only,
Oh,
apologize,
okay.
guys, I
Yes.
prepared them for the board, guys.
To the visitors trying to stay awake over there, this is gonna be the first time we've ever worked on a budget for the road. I don't know, Dennis, did you guys ever have a budget? Cause Tony said, we never had a budget. So this is great that John's trying to actually put together a budget for us.
Absolutely.
So let me tell you how I approached this. I reached out to Tony and Tony was very helpful, but he only had, data up until December. I don't know. I didn't have any other P&Ls, beyond that. So what I did is I took the last quarter, which was October, and by the way, at the bottom of here, the assumptions are noted, there. I took the last quarter, which was October, November, December, and, for income, I averaged, those, months. And so, you can see that our gross maintenance fees without electrical surcharge, I extrapolated out and came up with approximately 145,000 a year that we take in from that, which, again, only using, October, November, December, that gives us approximately $12,083. And the thing about a budget is these will vary every month, but, if we've got semi-accurate, historical data, it should, it's not gonna be exact, but it'll be close. So then I looked at the parking lot rental fees, that was very close to 20,000, so I just rounded it to 20,000. And surprisingly, the electrical charges were also very close to 20,000, but they were 20,380. The bank interest, basically non-existent, and miscellaneous, I left that in there, even though I left it at 0 in case there was something I missed. So, what I see is that approximately $13,750 a month, is what we take in. But you have to realize that, approximately 2,000 of that is a pass-through for electrical. So, about 11, this is based on October, November, and December, okay? So then, I went down to the things that I did have data on from the P&Ls, and, the credit card fees, approximately $200 a month, $2,300 a year. And this is one that I went ahead and used the data that I had, and it was, and there was also some anomalies. These are in the questions here that we'll get to in a second. But December had some really big charges for stuff that seemed like they should be routine charges, and now I heard that we did some catching up in December.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I used 20,000 for legal fees, which would allot us approximately $1,500 a month. And again, these will be adjusted with discussion. So if we say, hey, we had some anomalous expenditures for legal fees last year, we don't anticipate spending that much, then we'll budget much less, you know. I left, office programs. It's a question on my list here. I don't know why we had a $3,500 approximately charge on our P&Ls on December for office programs. But it was a discussion point. I also left security, contract labor. These are placeholders for ultimately what we may decide to budget to expand on those things. But they're items that I believe that ultimately we'll want to expend. These others are really inconsequential cost, and so that really brings that is the best I could do on a skeleton budget, but it brings me to this list of questions, which is really what I need to get some guidance from us as a board on. And one is, so we see we have $145,000 a year approximately in yearly income. That's including electrical. So we maybe about 120,000, 25,000 a year in income, which is almost exactly how much we have in the bank. It would be my opinion that that is too much of a reserve.
Yep.
We don't need that much reserve.
Remember, we're self-insured.
So, so I did make an inquiry with a gentleman that I know that I've gone to before for equipment financing. He does small financing, and he said that he would be easily able to arrange financing for us if we were in an emergency situation. If we needed $50,000 line of credit, he would give it to us because we have a continuous income stream.
Right.
So, so just another point that we should be, my opinion, drawing down on our, not even our reserve, which is our savings, which is about 60,000, but our checking, which is also about 60,000 at the moment. So, so that's the first question. Do we put into the budget a drawdown, a monthly drawdown, so that we get that down to more like 25,000, in which case we can apply that to CapEx expenditures that we may, as a group, decide on. The other question, the bigger questions are the two at the top, and that is, are we gonna be hiring a management company? If we are, then we gotta put the expense for that management company into the budget. So, and then I just had oddball questions that were unknown to me, that I figured maybe all of us know. And I got number one answered already.
Nope.
We had anomalous P&L expenditures, so I'll try to figure something out and adjust that for the next time. I didn't notice that we had any insurance cost in any of the, so we are self-insured.
We're self-insured. What I did is I looked into the insurance and found out we were not insured.
Okay.
Of course, I had a heart attack. I'm like,
Yeah.
do I want to tell anybody about this? That
Well, we've known
the
that.
common areas are not insured.
Okay.
So during that research, speaking to the insurance company
Yeah.
and digging into it, I got a quote from one company. He basically told me that a lot of marinas are dropping their insurance because it's so cost prohibitive. Because we're looking at $5,000 a month at the very minimum, if not
That's
more.
too much.
So are we talking
Way
about,
too much.
obviously there's two kinds of insurance. There's insurance on our physical assets, and
Right.
then there's insurance for liability. Are we talking about either or both?
We're talking about the physical assets. The liability part we're covered on. I can
My
give you that
opinion is
information.
that we don't need insurance for our physical, because, you know.
Not for $5,000 a month.
Nope, definitely not.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so, but then you will get to me the liability insurance cost, so
Sure.
I can put that in? Okay, all right. So, office program, what happened, why did we have a $3,500 expenditure? And I guess more of a question is it gonna be recurring? Do we anticipate it in the future? You know, I left it out, I put it in here.
Yeah, I
in
can answer that
the
for you.
skeleton, you know,
So when we first set up, we're looking at getting emails for everybody,
okay,
set up, and not only email, but the office programming.
okay,
So everybody had Word, Excel, things that they needed.
okay.
But we looked at that and, you know, it was kind of like, are we really gonna use it? There's cheaper ways of doing this. That was a part of the GoDaddy. They were
Yeah.
trying to get us a discount. So, you know, it was kind of like, we probably don't need it. So I went ahead and canceled that order. So we got reimbursed.
Okay.
I think it was about 4,000.
That's the only, I don't even wanna pass judgment on anything we
Yeah,
did.
I'm just
I just
saying-
need to know if it's gonna be recurring. So
Yeah,
the
no,
answer
it's
is
not
gonna be
recurring.
recurring.
We basically.
But that's not actually what occurred. What occurred was
Again,
the
it-
board voted
Your hand was
not
not raised.
to
Your hand was
proceed
not raised,
forward
and
with
that is not
this
true.
GoDaddy account, but you did it anyway.
No,
That's what occurred.
No, that's not what occurred.
Honestly, I don't think it's even relevant, I just need to know.
It
if
is
it's gonna
very
be-
relevant.
I
Okay.
just need to know if it's gonna be recurring or not.
Officer, that's the second interruption. I just want you to note that.
So-
Any more interruptions, we're gonna have to deal with it.
So, the next,
Wait, Craig, are you threatening me? The officer is a kind gentleman, but I'm not doing anything illegal. I can say whatever I want.
We have rules here, and if you keep disrupting the meeting out of order, then we're gonna take action. And this is coming from the
You're,
board.
you're
This is
saying,
coming from the board. I am the person leading the meeting right now.
our first, I'm clear right now,
I'm
the
the
officer
chairman.
is a nice legal gentleman. Sir, you would not be able to remove me, right, if I'm being civil and broken no laws, correct?
Disruption of the meeting is a violation of Texas Penal Code 42.05.
so,
And disruption of the meeting can be by verbal utterance or physical altercation.
so honestly, that whole situation is just not something I even wanna address, I just wanna get through my
It's not recurring. We're good.
non-recurring.
Let's move on.
So, the next question would be, I think that we had an increase in our monthly pool cost, is that
Right.
correct?
That's correct. From the condos, because I was on the board of the condos, and we raised the prices, because our prices went up for the trash, the chemicals, the cleaning of the pool, and everything else like that.
Okay.
So it went up slightly.
So the condos are getting.
But that's something you guys can drop if you don't use.
Yeah.
There's only been like 2 people from the boats that ever used the pool, you know? So,
Personally, I like the idea that I can use it if I want to.
yeah, you can use it anytime you want.
Yeah.
I've used it, and Rick's used it.
Yeah, and it's not that much, I don't think, was it like,
All I really need to know is what's the cost gonna be, is it gonna be $250 a month, $254, I think.
well, I
saw
think
something.
that includes the bathrooms and everything else.
Is it-
Yeah, we gotta look into it. I
Yeah.
can dig in the numbers, but
Okay.
I'll
If
be
somebody
honest.
could give me that, all I gotta do is know a number to plug in for these
Right.
things.
Yeah,
We can get that
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, it's for the bathrooms, the pool, the portion of the trash, portion of the yard,
Half of the trash.
you have the trash, exactly.
Landscaping too.
Landscaping, yep, landscaping, all that stuff.
My note is Kurt will let me know.
And, yeah. And that'll be recurring.
Actually, yeah, Jonathan was on the.
Yeah,
board, so
I was the
he-
vice president of the board of the
Yeah,
company,
okay,
so,
yeah.
yeah, so I
That's
know,
my
I know directly, I know directly what it is.
Yeah.
And same thing with monthly trash.
Okay, monthly trash is the same thing, it's gonna be recurring?
Yep.
Okay, and you'll get me a number for it, okay? And then, is there any, currently, are there any security costs that we participate in?
Not that I know of.
The only thing that I know of would be the telephone at the pool. And it's
Okay.
included with the pool price.
Probably that and maybe the gate or something, it's all,
That would be the only.
And the property tax, I need to know what that is.
I don't know.
Somebody
We
pays
just,
it.
we just printed that out, we just printed that out last month.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if you could just keep that list and the ones that you haven't been able to tell me, if you could just find them out for me, that'd be awesome. Okay, and so then, in restroom maintenance, it's gonna be the same thing, parking lot maintenance is gonna be the same thing,
Yeah, we can get all that.
and collection fees. And so this is a question actually for you, John.
Yeah, so Eric has gotten about $4,000, collected. He needs an updated list to find out how many more people are still, need to be collected on. But like Kurt said, we need to be going through the Halifax, the Halodex?
It's a
Transworld program. He'd rather go that way than just Eric calling. He's been calling politely, saying, hey, I don't know if you realize your dues are so past
They're
due.
doing that.
So that's
They
gonna
gotta use Transworld.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point of getting Transworld.
To not
They have a
use-
system for doing that, so we're not making that.
Okay.
So that's
And,
gonna-
and that's what's great about the management company, is we wouldn't have to use them anymore. The management company does all that for us. Yes.
But if that's gonna add to our monthly cost, or do we anticipate pushing those collection fees down to the people that are paying? You know? I mean, do we say, hey, we're 90 days behind, we had to get a collector to come get the money from you, you owe an extra $12 because of that?
Right.
So these are the questions that I had, but I guess the biggest question would be, are we gonna draw down? If we draw down, let's say we agree that our goal is, and I can work this out on a monthly basis, let's say we agree that our goal is to have 25K in checking.
Yeah, I got that cleared up.
Whatever we agree with, it being, then I will subtract 25 from 60 and then disperse that over each month.
Each month,
And
right.
anticipate that being additional money that we can spend on CapEx.
Right.
So Kurt, if you could answer, it sounds like you've got most of these answers. And the question I guess I have for the board is, what level do we feel comfortable targeting for our checking account? I would suggest 25,000. In which case, that will allow us to budget for more expenditures on things like finger piers, the things that I've put in here as placeholders.
Now, are you suggesting 25 is our cap? We don't go below 25 on our checking and 25 in our savings?
No, I think our savings, we should keep where it is now.
Okay, keep it 60?
Yeah,
And
but
then
I
cap
think
it. Cap it, everything else goes back to that.
having a year's income in savings, which is what we have, or in the bank, and easy access to emergency credit facility if needed,
Absolutely.
seems excessive to me. And I think that we should give ourselves the benefit of using that money now to do the things that we want to do, you know. And that's why I say, if we target the 25, that means that I take 40 divided by 12 and put it into the budget, and we count on drawing that down.
Yeah.
That will be ultimately reflected,
to the officer.
you know.
And that was our problem with the condos, when we were doing the condo association. We were trying to get away from the insurance companies, because we tried to get bids on different insurance companies. Every year our insurance went up $15,000.
Wow.
So their insurance to insure the building is almost 62% of their budget.
That's
Yeah, I was gonna say,
amazing.
but you have an entirely different situation. This is a valuable asset. There's not much that can happen to.
Right, the piers, yeah,
to our
exactly. Oh,
peers.
no, I definitely don't want to insure the piers.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, that's the problem they're having
Wow.
Yeah.
here, is that they can't get that insured, and everybody else, I like the line of credit is where I was going with this.
Yeah.
I like the line of credit that we're established, we have so much money coming in, we got $300,000 in reserves when we're here. It's like, maybe we need to lower the amount of credit, because they keep saying the building keeps being worth more, but it's never gonna be destroyed. They're insuring the ground beneath the building for like $4-point-something million. I'm like, dude, the ground's not going anywhere, you know? Let's do something different.
Yeah.
Let's bring it down, you know? They're insuring it for like $15 or $20 million. I mean, if you had a hurricane, we had a hit one time and we lost the roof, and it was like, $500,000 or something, you know?
Yeah,
And our deductible's like $400,000. So
this-
insurance paid on $100,000.
This guy that I talked to is a guy I've known for about 10 years. He's in that business. He finances, and I use him sometimes if I'm buying like an excavator for $250,000.
Yep.
He'll finance that piece of equipment. So he said that it would be no problem he said, if you've got a consistent income and you've got no indebtedness already, he said he could have that in 3 days for $50,000, you know?
Would that be something that we would have to have member approval for in order to get a
You know,
reserve or to get
I
something?
only raised that because I wanted to, I only raised that point because I wanted to show that, hey, I think that we're way, you know, we don't have any debt. We've got a cash reserve of over $100,000 as it sits now, if you encompass both of them. And I'm just saying that we're really depriving ourselves
Yes.
of improvements that we could be making right now using that money, because we're basically doing it kind of, you know, hand to mouth kind
You're
of
just
thing.
showing something to
Yeah.
fall back on.
I think that,
Worst
yeah, I'm
case
just
scenario.
saying, worst case scenario, you know, I don't
Yeah.
know, a fire happens
We
and,
could get
you know,
back.
Dock 16, 17 burns to the ground.
We
you
need
know?
50, 60 grand, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we've got 50,
Got the loan.
yeah, we could have that in a few days, you know. So, does anybody have a problem with me targeting 25K for our, checking account balance at the end of, 2023?
Nope, I second it.
Anybody?
I don't have a problem with this offer.
I'm good with that.
It's not, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'll put it into the budget as we fill in these other, this other information, and ultimately, we'll have an opportunity to approve or disapprove the budget as a whole, so
Right.
we're not,
Once we see all the numbers
I'm just
come
seeing
together.
right now whether I'd be spinning my wheels doing that, but
Right,
if not,
'cause we could literally pull out that 5 grand, do the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, get a management company in here started with all that extra money
Yeah.
we have.
exactly, and that's why I say we've got
Yep.
tons of money, we've got money,
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
We just don't like to spend it.
Apparently not.
That's how my mom got divorced from
Yeah.
her husband. There's a trailer out in the middle, $500,000, $1 million in the bank account. Won't spend nothing. I give him my old clothes. He drives, you know, a 30-year-old truck, you know, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, just from the history from what I've seen for the last few years, it's amazing. I came out and looked at all these stocks and I'm like, you know, I understand we're trying to save money, but
Right.
why are we holding back on fixing obvious things like damage from Harvey? And
Right.
these meters that Jimmy showed me, I'm like,
Yeah,
what is it? I mean, I understand we don't bring in a lot of money, but at some point you kick that can down the road,
Right.
money's gonna have to be spent.
Right,
And I'm sorry, I should not have spent 2 weeks of my vacation out here helping replace PVC pipes that are rupturing because
you should not,
we're not spending the money properly on getting the latest PECs.
right,
We shouldn't be doing this. I
right.
mean,
Management company should be doing it, we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
okay, so I'm gonna interrupt the meeting real quick, because I just want, and I probably should have done this at the very beginning, the officer here is to keep the meetings going and rolling peacefully and to keep order. Now, we've all agreed to these Robert's Rules of Order.
We're not
And-
following Robert's Rules of Order.
And part of Robert's Rules is if we make a motion, everybody gets approximately 3 minutes. Now, that's concerning motions, but in general, just to keep order, as long as we're doing business, something productive, then, you know, we're getting things done for the marina.
Okay.
Now, if we're here to make accusations and attack people of this or that, to me, that's not productive. The other thing is, as a chairman, I have the ability to let people speak and not speak, as I deem appropriate. Interrupting and just speaking out of turn without raising your hand and all that, that's not acceptable. Just because you want to say something. So I'm trying to keep order at these meetings, so they are peaceful and productive.
Well,
Not
what I will
here.
say is
and you're
the
interrupting
president
again.
has
Here we go
authority
again.
to do only the things that are assigned to that office by the bylaws. Oftentimes, elected to the office, the president misunderstand their role in the organization and believe that members have given them free rein to run the organization any way they please, thus setting up a dictatorship. So the only provisions that you have are what are stated in the bylaws, and that's factual. The president or chairperson of organization should be present at the meeting, yes, of course. This person is usually an elected officer of the organization. It is their job to lead the meeting, but they can't debate or submit their own motion. Meaning you can only lead the meeting and you cannot debate or submit your own motion. The president only has the following duties via the bylaws. The president has no authority to direct other board members or direct the association as he sees fit.
What is it you're reading? What is this from?
And further, what I'm gonna read next is you have.
Before we go any further,
What's
I need
in
to know,
the bylaws.
what is this you're referring to? Where is this like a law? What is this? Where are you getting these
Do your
rules?
own research on this. I've researched. You
Okay,
do
if you're not
research.
gonna answer the question, Eric, I'm shutting this down, because you're making accusations, you're giving us rules, but you're not saying, is this coming from our bylaws, is this coming from
Okay,
209?
what I say, coming from 209, we only have the provisions that are specified in the bylaws.
Yeah, and I'm aware of the bylaws.
That's it. You have no more authority than what's in the bylaws.
I never said I did, but as a chairman, and,
I have my hand raised.
oh, okay, I'm sorry about that, go ahead, Nazar.
Okay, hey, you're doing a great fucking job. Can we keep this meeting moving, because we're approaching 2-hour mark?
What we're discussing now is pretty important, so I'm gonna have to finish this discussion. You know, we've researched, Jimmy's done a lot of research on these meetings, Robert's Rules 209, we've looked at it all, Eric, and basically, as the chairman, I've got the authority to allow people to speak and not speak as long as it's productive.
Well, right, now you heard me read that, but that also means, regardless of all those provisions, that also means that you cannot debate or, let's see, where was that provision? But yeah, that is the case, but you cannot debate, you cannot vote on your own motion.
You can't debate, I don't know about that.
John's got a question, I can follow up on that. but
Yeah, go ahead.
let John talk.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
All we're trying to do is have a civil discussion. I think that it is appropriate to have one person lead that discussion and recognize different people to speak at different times without interruptions. I have no bias here. I actually don't know either of you more than a month. And I just think that if he is the president, that he should be recognizing who speaks, and we should be trying to follow some decorum. And I do feel that it was inappropriate, the things that you were bringing up while I was trying to talk about a subject that was completely separate. That's my piece, that's all I want to say.
Okay,
Go ahead, Jimmy. You said you wanted to make a comment?
What you read right there is executive boards, big board meetings with lots of people. That doesn't include small boards like what we have. He's got every bit of right as you have, and you have, and you have, and I have. Same rights, we all have the same rights. That doesn't pertain to this board.
okay, but what does pertain to this board is what's in the bylaws. That's the legal authority that the president has. We're a board of equals. This is a democracy.
Well, I can say this, Eric, is I've read those bylaws, and in general, everybody on this board wants a civil board meeting, and
Of course, I do too.
during these meetings, you are usually, not always, but I'd say 80 to 90% of the time, are the person who wants to just speak without raising your hand, interject, and then the things you want to discuss are always accusing me or somebody of something. It's not productive, all this negativity you bring to the board meetings.
Okay, what's not productive is you spending $8,000 on attorney fees. What's not productive without board approval. Now, next brings the next question. Do you feel
Not
that you
answering-
have the authority to
Not
pay
answering
for items
questions.
without board approval?
Absolutely not. I've always bounced everything off of everybody. But right now, we're not gonna discuss it. We can discuss it at the end of this meeting, because people here do not want this meeting to drag out for
Okay, let's
hours
quick it
and
up.
hours.
Quit
and
being
hours.
so talkative. Let's get it going. Let's get this resolved.
You just interrupted the meeting for this, so that's why we're behind.
You stopped it because you were trying to weaponize the police officer to have them removed.
I'm not weaponizing anybody here.
Just like you didn't weaponize the law firm and spend $8,000.
Nope, we did not weaponize that. So we'll discuss it at the end of the meeting. We're gonna keep going forward to be productive here.
I'd just like to say that, with that, I'd like to close out my budget discussion and, just say that when I do get the rest of this information from Kurt, and with the input that I've just gotten from you, from all of you, I will, populate this more, thoroughly, and it'll be something that I can then email around, and we can start, probably zeroing in on a budget. I anticipate that we should be able to have a working budget in the next 3 to 4 weeks,
Awesome.
you know,
So we approve that next meeting, maybe,
Okay.
sorry.
hopefully.
Something
Yes.
that, you can go to the members only section and go to the members only and plug in that members only thing, and I mean, it gives you past meeting minutes, past agendas, profit and loss, and a lot of that all the way back to 2014.
So I'm gonna wait for a lot of the information that I need that it seems like Kurt has, you know, circulating in his head.
He's got most of everything that you've
Yeah,
got.
so when I
here.
get that,
Question.
I'll populate the rest of this and I'll circulate it amongst us, you know, probably several iterations before anything's ready for publication, so.
Sounds good.
And of course, and ultimately for approval.
Sounds great.
So with that, I'm done with my budget
For
discussion.
now, we're all kind of in agreement to lower our, not the reserve, but our bank balance down to 25,000.
Correct.
The previous treasurer kind of wanted to keep it above 50,000. So.
And that's
So
the
that
open
was
point
the
for
number that we were
discussion
looking
for,
Yeah, well, that's what I say.
hey,
You've got a
that's,
good-
if we
you've
all
got a
say
good point.
50's it, then 50's it.
And we all agreed just a minute ago with 25.
But if
so.
we all say 25's it, then 25's it, you know, in which case that gives
I mean,
us an extra
sure, I
$2,000.
mean, as long as our
Well,
building
can we make a
protected.
motion that,
Absolutely.
You know,
we
I
want
like
to drop
the
our
idea of
bank
spending
balance
20
down
grand on attorney
by
fees.
2023 to help?
You know, I think
I'd
that's.
establish
a
our
way.
budget.
I think the
Right.
motion would be that we target 25,000 in the bank account. Our budget targets 25,000 in the bank account for, the end of 2023.
So that would be
I guess
something,
I would make that motion.
that would be something,
Seconded.
something that maybe, we got the annual budget coming up, the annual meeting in July.
Yeah.
You know?
Certainly I'll
That'd be
have
something
it,
that we
certainly
can
I'll
shoot
have
for
it
that,
ready by
have
then.
that
Oh,
by
yeah.
then, and that way we
Yeah.
present it to everybody.
Yes. And hopefully we'll have a treasurer by then.
Hopefully. Naz, are you still awake? Okay, we're at item B right now. I got questions about this reserve money and stuff, but I'm gonna hold off on that.
Okay.
But I'm gonna, for the sake of the people that are here, not falling asleep on us, I'm gonna take about 5 minutes and allow the participants here. I know you're here listening in. Dennis, do you have any questions? Sir, do you have any questions at this point? I know you're sitting through this meeting, to keep it going.
Do we know roughly what the management company would charge the marina management service?
I haven't received a quote yet for that, but maybe somebody else can answer, like
So-
Jonathan.
So they were gonna charge us, $1,400 for the condos. So we're not near as intricate as something like that. So I would ballpark it around $700 to $800 a month.
And what would they do roughly? Would they do the books?
They would do the books, they would do all the stuff.
Much better call.
Everything would be taken care of them. All they would do is they would actually run this meeting under the president, and they would present everything, tell us our budget, tell us everything, what we're spending, what projects are coming up, what projects we've already done. They just go through all the details. And then they come back with us and say, hey, this project you guys wanna do, we got these 3 bids, we prefer these people, but it's y'all's choice. You make a choice, they oversee the whole project, make sure it's done, paid for, and everything else. All the invoices and everything.
And just
Sounds
one
great.
very quick comment. I've been here roughly 26 years, and when I first bought my slip, there was money set aside for dredging. This is hearsay, but what I heard was that the EPA has to get involved, and that they have to do soil samples, and that there would be no way that we could dispose of what we did, and that it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And supposedly that's why it's never been dredged.
Well, I can interject. I actually spoke to a past president, a really good guy by the name of Warren, Jared Warren. And he was able to get the bank accounts up to $300,000, and he was about to embark on dredging for $120,000. His engineer had everything laid out, 8-foot depth across all common areas, but his company or his situation moved him to Florida, so he didn't embark on that. Now, so I would imagine at this point, since that was approximately 12 plus years ago, that it would be another 50 to 70 grand on top of that. But at that point, he was shocked to hear that in this day and age, still dredging never occurred in the past dozen years. So, But no, it's doable.
One of the things to consider with the dredging, I mean, we all would love to have dredging. Obviously, it's gonna be expensive, there are, rules and things that we have to follow and paperwork to fill out. I think almost every board, from what I can tell, has looked into dredging. With the situation we got right now with the freeze and all the damage and all the things we're behind on, it's pie in the sky, we'd love to do it. Now, here's the one key thing about dredging though. We could dredge this place tomorrow, but what I observed, and other people have verified this, that the way this marina was designed,
It's silt up.
it'll just fill right back up again because the way it circulates is a huge eddy that comes through this marina.
Yeah.
So the very first thing we'd have to do, and I'm sure we'd have to have permission and permits and everything else, and Corps of Engineers gets involved in this, is we'd have to build some kind of a bulkhead to prevent that eddy from filling in the work. Otherwise, we just wasted all that time and money.
Would that also help when there's hurricane, or, when the flood
Oh,
waters
yeah.
and hurricanes?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what it would do is divert this creek here, flowing straight into the lake. Right now, it's kind of hitting and creating a big eddy. Like I said, I sat there and watched it one day. I couldn't believe how fast that U-turn it made about where Eric's dock is, comes through, hits about where my boat is, and comes right through the marina. So this half of the marina doesn't get hit quite as bad, but right here where the liveaboard section is, it makes a huge turn. So any kind of dredging we do is gonna be a waste of time and money.
Well, that's not necessarily true now. We cannot do a cement structure like you could back in the past, but you can come in and do a wooden structure that would help alleviate some of that, for lack of a better word, backwash that kind of circulates. So it can be an actual wooden structure, some pilings, and some other, I don't know, some 2x16s of, lag bolted to it or something of that nature. I mean, I don't know exactly how that would be done, but you can have a wooden structure for sure.
Do you know how
That
much a
dredging is
cubic
done.
foot of waterways?
Do what?
Do you know how much a cubic foot of waterways?
Yeah, and of course I know. It's a lot.
So, I mean, my point is that would be one of the very first things we would have to consider.
I think we should work that into the budget.
So that we don't waste our money dredging and then it just fills back up again. If we can work it in the budget, I'm sure we'd all be for it.
yeah.
But,
So what's gonna happen on the budget is that after we get all of our, fixed costs in, what's gonna drop out is discretionary, spending. And then we'll have to decide what we're gonna spend that on. So, can we work it into the budget? Yeah, we probably even finance it, but I mean, do we wanna spend $100,000 on dredging that's not gonna last as long as the loan to finance it?
Well, again, that's why we would build that structure and maintain it.
Yeah.
But of course, in our DCCRs, and maintain the common areas is part of it. And a lot of these slips are just, that's the reason why John doesn't like his slip is because of the depth. Same with mine over here, it's pathetic.
We'd all like to dredge.
But, a permanent, dredge fund, can't touch it, let's put away $1,000 a month, whatever we decide on, and leave it at that.
That sounds good.
Yeah, only used for dredging.
Or should build a wall. Get the
Yeah,
engineer,
yeah.
engineer to approve it and fix that.
I mean, it'd be nice to do a cement, that if we do get that approval from the Army Corps of Engineers, to do a cement type of bulkhead, or whatever you'd call that structure.
Yep, all good things to look at. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, yeah, Dennis, I've been waiting to hear from you. I really have.
I just wanna make a comment on capital improvements, once you get to that part of the budgeting process. Back when I was on the board and Jimmy was there too, we did rebuilt roughly 1,000 feet of dock. And I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I think I calculated out that that was out of about 5,000 feet of total dock. And so I looked at that and said, if each board continues to do that, we could complete the process in 5 years without without borrowing money, without digging into, funds. We just paid it out of ongoing. And withdrawing, we used to be nervous when the checking account got below 39,000. But as I think back on it, I think 25 is a good number, And you spend that money on rebuilding some new docks. If you walk along dock 18A, all the boards are loose. The screws are coming, really that's probably the next important dock to rebuild.
So Dennis, you and I have had conversations, I think that both of us have been businessmen, and the distinction that I think that we have with this marina is that we have a consistent, constant income. I mean, so when you talk about, you know, if I had my business and I was drawing it down to $25,000, I'd be extremely nervous. But if I know for a fact I've got, you know, $13,000 every month coming in like clockwork, I'm not nearly as concerned.
Yeah.
And especially when you've got 60,000 in reserve, and you also got lines of credit that you can probably
Hey,
fairly
Darren,
easily
do you
access
have any
if
input?
you had to for extreme emergencies.
No.
You know, I feel comfortable with 25, but that's why I posed the question to the board, you know.
And I have numbers on the docks we built, and you can come up with a square foot, you know, a lineal or a square foot cost, and I've done that.
Yeah.
The costs have gone way up since then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So,
dramatically.
you know, you'd have to factor in a percentage increase. I know they've gone up in materials. The materials were roughly half of it, maybe a little more than half the cost. And, so then you have to, in labor, I don't know what's happened to labor, but I'm guessing that's gone up too.
And we should be getting to a point where we have a ledger balance rather than just a bank account balance. I mean, you know, if you've got a CFO, he's gonna tell you how much money you've got in the bank, and he's not gonna tell you by looking at the bank account. He's gonna tell you by knowing how much he has outstanding in checks. And sometimes there's big discrepancies between that and what's actually in the bank account.
Yeah.
You know, we should know that number rather than, because speaking to the gentleman that was sitting there earlier, he made that point, you know, that you can have a whole bunch of outstanding checks and not, you know, you can be looking at 60,000 in the bank, but actually only have 20,000 on the ledger, you know. So,
Makes sense.
yeah, but I mean, we gotta get there. First we have to have a budget, then we have to have some, you know.
Well, sounds like we're moving forward though.
Some accounting.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, John.
That does not mean I'm volunteering to be the treasurer.
You're wiggling your way in there.
No.
And a lot of this, you know, a lot of the stuff, at least my goal was to get us caught up, like we all discussed, changing attorneys, and
Yeah.
that attorney was very expensive, and everything, even transferring our records over to the new attorneys at the time. I mean, this guy was charging us a ton, and he
Yeah.
kept saying, for years I've been wanting you guys to get a HOA type attorney and stuff, and we all just were like, you know, we gotta get rid of this. He does not want to even work for us, and he's charging us an arm and a leg. Let's pay him off and, you know, just get it over with, pull the Band-Aid off.
Hey, I do agree with Jimmy, it's already 9.
You know, that was part of that. So let's see here, discuss the use of mobile management, use it or lose it. So we just lost Jonathan, for the meeting.
I say we table that, we don't have enough time to
I think he's
discuss
coming
that.
back, he left his jacket.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring my laptop and show everybody a little bit about what that is, but I didn't, and, we're running out of time here, so, I suggest we move on.
Okay, we're gonna skip the mobile conversation, then we'll go ahead and do that. New business, so,
What about the cameras? We want to discuss that, the cameras and extender?
We're really kinda running out of time.
I mean, that's a quick discussion.
real quick, I'm waiting for a quote to come in from a company for, cameras.
Now, the last one you
He's
looked
gonna
at
get-
was 15,000, right?
I don't remember, but, he's gonna give us a condensed, like, just a couple camera quote here pretty soon. As far as the security cameras, I think you gave us a little bit of some numbers and some,
I mean, I've got the numbers. I got a question for the entire board. I mean, John.
Yep.
So tell me, security cameras, do you think it's better to just get cameras that are great, like say 2 or 4K cameras that are 24/7 recording, local storage on the unit itself, right? $50 a piece, or go through a contractor that's gonna charge 10 times that much? It'd be much better, you know, if they break, technology's better next year, we can replace these on an ongoing basis. That to me is a much better option than going through a contractor and spending 10 times the amount. I don't see any detriment. Does anybody on the board see anything negative with us buying our own cameras and doing our own install?
absolutely, because number one,
Going all in the same direction.
always going always going cheap isn't always the best way.
Not going cheap, we're getting high-end cameras, they're cheap.
Okay, Eric, are you gonna let me answer the question? The other thing about that is, who's gonna be in control of these cameras and who's going to?
The board.
Okay, the board, like everybody on the board's
Everyone
gonna
on
control
board.
these cameras?
Yes.
I have a lot of questions about that. We've seen what's happened to other items, but you're talking security cameras, it can be very serious stuff happening there, but, go ahead, John, you wanted to comment?
I kind of, because it's kind of like a public people, I like your idea
Yeah.
of the security cameras and stuff like that, but I would like a company that you could find that uses those kind of cameras and maybe do a trial run. Let's put up 3 or 4. And then let's try that out for 6 months, see how effective it is, how good it is. Then we can move forward with something like that. But I feel it'd be better responsible for somebody else to be in control of that. Personally, I don't.
Can I speak? Yeah, I would strongly second that. I think that, not even because of the control, but I think that we should have a professional just come in, knock it out, get it done. We got a problem, he comes, he's local, somebody in League City or something.
Right.
Comes over, he fixes it, it's fixed in a day, and it's all done and taken care of, and if we gotta pay twice as much for that, I still say we
And we can start small. We can start with 3 or 4. You know, the main entrances. You know,
Exactly.
and then graduate
Or
higher.
if we pick a neutral person to look at them, I mean, I'd be fine with anybody, Kurt or you, anyone can look at the cameras.
I think
But
anybody
I think
should
that
be
a
able to.
quarter of the price compared to 10 times the price, 15,000, as opposed to $50 a pop.
I think it should
And next
be-
year, they're gonna be 8K, the year after that, they'll be 12K. So every year going forward, we can get better and better cameras.
I think that we should have it professionally set up. There's a
Why?
website that you can log into.
Yes, I like that.
Anybody that is in the marina that has the password can go look at it. They can look at their boat,
Yep.
and you can see if your boat's, if there is a storm just came through and you wanna see if your line's held up or something like that. Anybody, and I think that it should be done professionally.
And I like that because I go to my chiropractor over here and he's got a big screen TV and he has a
Yeah.
Galveston boardwalk. You know, he likes to
Yeah.
surf. He likes to, so it's always on. You see the Galveston boardwalk all the time. You can see the waves are good. People are out there. Parking's all right. Yeah.
We got
And he's got
3 or
3 other
4
cameras he
cameras
could
out
pick
there.
out there to watch. He
Okay.
pays for a service. I think it's like $30 a month.
Another question I have is why professional? What's the difference? What makes that better?
For liability insurance purposes and
Liability.
For maintenance, you're not always gonna be on the board, you're not always gonna be here to adjust them and change the
Anyone can
cameras,
do
this
it.
kind of stuff.
It's that easy.
We get a company to do that,
It's
then,
just not,
then
it's
pick up the
just.
phone, call them and say, hey, come fix that.
And for problem resolution, quick problem resolution, you know, just, I mean, just 1,000 reasons, I think that we should have a professional do
but
it.
let's get you to find a better company that you feel that does good cameras, and let's do 4 of them as starters or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah, to me, it's just confusing. I mean, I'll show you later.
I know because you're
it
super
doesn't make-
smart.
it
You're
doesn't
super smart.
make
Like,
sense.
I'm a master in
Brother,
air
I can show
conditioning.
you. I can show you.
I'm a
in
master
2
in air
minutes.
conditioning, but you know,
Yeah.
I would not recommend us as a board for
Yeah.
you guys to start installing air conditioning. I can bring you the air conditioner for cheap, and you guys try and install it. You know,
Yeah.
it's
I'll tell you what, I'll show you one of the cameras and show you how incredible. I can show you on my phone my camera.
yeah.
Right now, I can log in. There's no error that occurs with it. There's no, if it breaks, it's got a warranty. You can replace it for free. You can do an install. Jimmy can do an install. You can do an install. Anyone can install
But
this.
we don't want to. We want to have a management company doing this. A
Oh,
bigger
what
company.
about this? What about if we pay a contractor to do an install and do a huge savings?
That would work. I'd be more leaning towards something
Okay.
like that.
I-
But
And
it's
they
up to
make
the
it
board,
neutral.
though.
All the
It's up to the board.
cameras pointed the same direction on every dock. Not pointed at anybody's boat. Just pointed all in the same direction.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move over to Jimmy now,
Okay.
your input on this.
What?
Do you have any comments about the security cameras?
No
Okay.
comment.
Nazar?
I got a comment. Hey, we already discussed this, and for one, from my understanding, everybody agreed that nobody on the board was gonna have, personal,
Management, admin?
I gotta use the restroom real fast, sorry guys.
Yeah, we kind of discussed it at the last meeting for sure.
So, what we discussed it, came up with, was that we're gonna come up with some, clauses that if we're gonna review the security footage,
Yeah, third party is probably the safest thing to avoid that. Yeah, a lot to discuss there.
To avoid what?
Weaponization of the security cameras, people using it for whatever benefits, or
Weaponizing how?
just spy on people, who knows?
I mean, I don't, that's not a bad idea of someone has to get board approval to review some certain time feature.
Yeah,
That's not a bad call.
lot to discuss with it.
I think John O would probably have some input on that,
What?
is there was concern that if somebody wants to review the cameras, you have to get full board approval. I don't see a big problem with that.
I think that they should be open to
I
everybody
do too.
to look at them whenever they
I
want.
should be able to just log on, just leave it
Okay.
on my, while I'm working out in my gym, just watching my boat.
What
sit
about
there
putting it
floating
on the
around.
website?
I can look on my phone. I've got 22 cameras.
Yeah, I got 5 ring
I can
cameras
look
around
at
my
my-
house. I
Did
can
you
tell you
install
everything.
them?
What?
Did you install them yourself?
No, I had somebody, $1,500. I had a guy install all of them. I don't
Yeah.
remember how much the equipment cost,
I
but
paid $700 because mine had to be hardwired.
What's your resolution?
1080,
I can see pretty good.
night vision, night vision.
Yeah, on mine, I'm going with 4K on the, but I'll show you.
4K is awesome though.
I know I can see pretty good. I can see I can see a license plate in my driveway.
Well, imagine 4K compared to 1080.
Yeah.
Hold on one second now, did you raise your hand about the
I
security?
just
cameras?
wondered, what is the main purpose of the cameras? Is it just so we can watch our boats or whatever? Or is it security, and have there been security issues?
Both.
I've never locked my boat or my car.
Both.
It's both.
It's both, I think.
It's
I
both,
think
so we can look at our boats and stuff during storms, and then if we have people and things going on at the marina, it gives us an option to see who came and went, you
Have
know,
we had a problem?
there's been problems.
Yes, and I think also afterwards, after the fact, if somebody finds out that they had a motor stolen off of their boat, that guy will probably tell you right there that it'd be really great if we had a picture of the guy doing it.
Right. But I mean,
I mean, for insurance reasons alone,
on my
yes.
beanie unlocked, and I've never, in 20 years, never had anybody take anything.
There have been issues.
Yeah.
Okay, good
We,
to know.
we recently had somebody, and this is more for the condos to take care of, but there was a catalytic converter stolen a few weeks ago. More of the condos may have, if they had a camera on that, so they could have captured it. There's, and Jonathan, you know this, their security system is kind of aged.
Yep.
And when it comes to the law and all that kind of stuff, if you don't have really good, high quality video,
They can do it.
it gets thrown out. So
Yeah,
you're
that's
gonna
why-
have to have really good quality cameras.
And not only that, but it
Minimum
also
2K.
it deters people too.
Yeah.
You know, if they know it's there, then there's gonna be that much less problems,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, I would say minimum 2K, but it's just so cheap at this point.
So, okay, so, you know, we're still discussing the cameras, and
Amazing. We solved in 1 week.
so, we're gonna go ahead.
What
and
about the
move on.
extender?
Yeah, real quick on the extender, I mean, since day one, since it's been installed, I heard it's not worked properly. According to Garrett, it's because the extender hasn't been extended. I'm not sure about that, so I was hoping you'd be able to.
Yeah, simple solution. Let's just install an extender. I mean, they're so cheap and this is a frivolous expense. Let's just buy an extender. Honestly, I think we should buy a couple of test cameras at $30 a pop. Let's install them. And if we don't like them, let's just throw them away or return them.
So on the extender, when I was asking the current configuration, the way I understand, I took pictures. We've got the router sitting there, and then we've got 2 devices, sitting on top of that. Are those just extra, I mean, what are those
There's
devices?
3 different logins, as you probably know.
They're not
All the same
logins,
password.
devices.
So there's 3 devices. You got your modem, your router, and that used extender. It's no good. Simple. Okay, I'm gonna say what we need to do. Let's just buy 2 or 3 of these extenders tomorrow. They're cheap. They're $60 a pop. Let's install them. Let's get something productive going.
Okay, so my question is, what do we have now?
An extender
We have one extender, and where's the extender located?
inside doesn't matter. It's gonna if it goes through or not.
Okay,
It
'cause
can be
like,
outside or inside. Does not make a big difference.
according to Garrett, the reason it's
fine,
not
that's-
working
okay, that's
is
his opinion.
because
It's fine.
it needs to be put somewhere to extend the signal. You know, that's why I'm asking what we currently have, and then you said it was it a used extender that we installed?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay, the easiest way to resolve this, let's again buy 2 or 3 of these $60 extenders. Not a big deal. I
So-
think we can agree to that, right?
So
3
the two-
extenders, $60 a pop.
So
I've got a link.
I'm asking a question, do we currently have an extender? Is the problem that it's, just not good enough, the extender we have?
That's my opinion. I don't know,
That's your
don't know for
opinion,
sure. Well, I'll say I know it's not working correctly.
What are these here, the Aristas? Are they, What are those for? There's two of them.
Those are gonna be, their own, those are their,
What is it? What devices is it?
they're gonna call them an extender, but those are not powerful. Those are coming from Xfinity. Those are not powerful.
So these are extenders.
Yeah, or that's
Okay.
their unit to transmit the signal. They're gonna call it an extender because,
Is it a
They're just
booster
not-
possibly?
no, a booster's not a term for it.
It's a kind of extender.
Yeah, let's just call it that.
So, the money that we spent on all this stuff, I guess it ultimately wasn't good enough to, get over to your.
We didn't
neighbor's
spend
vote.
much on it.
Oh, I thought for the investigation, we spent way too much.
Oh, yeah, that was, I don't know what that charge was for. For my work, cost $0. We didn't pay anything for the install when I was here with Xfinity. I don't know anything with Contractors Unlimited. Maybe Jimmy has the number. We can call them. But I don't know where that 2,000 came into place. I'm telling you, for my work was $0. And all I needed was another extender or two to get this whole area incredible internet connection. You know, just like security cameras. I mean, instead of buying a couple more rolls of toilet paper, let's just buy one security camera and see if we love it or not. If we don't love this $30 security camera, let's just throw it in the,
So the extender.
in the water.
The extender we have now, in its location is fine. It just needs.
Let's
to
just
get
forget about that one. Let's just buy 2 or 3 more and keep it solved. Keep the meeting going
So-
forward. Let's just buy the new ones.
that. But I'm asking you a question. If we bought these two extenders, where would they be located?
I'd like to have one in each utility shed.
Okay, so.
We probably don't
to
need
take them
that.
out. Okay.
That's probably excessive.
Okay, and so what kind of cost are we looking at here?
Again, 60 a pop. I've got links to more than one brand.
Okay, that's just for the extender. What about the cabling?
It's gonna be all inclusive.
Okay, that's, the
So-
extender 60 plus the cabling?
No, we don't, that's everything. 60
So
bucks buys.
120, we're out the door.
You what?
120, it's done.
Yeah, we still need to be debating this. Just like-
No,
I mean,
we just want clarification, what
Yeah.
it's gonna cost, what's involved in installing them. We're gonna need power, obviously, at these sheds, so that's an
Plugging it
extra
in.
cost.
And installing it, screwing in the score screws. We're not gonna charge $500 a screw like last time. We're just gonna do the screws and, that's it.
And you're willing to
And
do
then,
this?
then I have to go in and config it or someone else can config it. And that's it.
If you're willing to do it, I'm
You're willing
good,
to
I'm
do
good
that?
for 120.
Well, can we agree to buy one security camera?
No.
If you guys don't love it, just throw it away or return it. One security camera
Let's
is
do-
all I
How
ask.
about we do the extender first and see
Yes.
how that goes?
Yes, I agree with that.
Can we have a mid-month meeting? One, if y'all all love this camera, let's just break it.
Let's fix the extenders first.
Yeah,
If
I
you're-
agree with
if,
that.
are you gonna do the work?
That's fine,
Okay.
unless Jimmy wants to help.
You're requesting that everybody fill out a waiver that works on the docks.
Can you sign one? I'll sign it. Can you
That's
sign
your-
one?
That's your rule
I
right
know,
there.
it is.
I will, and
You
notarize
haven't done it
and
yet?
everything.
I thought you said just take 2 weeks off and work for the.
I got all the
plumber.
contractors done.
But I do agree, we need to all consider that any work done on the docks
Okay.
is unauthorized, so we're not held liable. We don't have insurance.
Okay.
The previous administration got rid of the insurance.
Remember, we were about to fix your dock and then you brought up the liability, so we had to stop the work.
That's not what happened.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
No, because somebody capped it off, mine specifically.
Well, we stopped working because we were about to fix yours and you said.
We talked about
You said-
this months
Okay.
and months ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna move forward,
that's nice.
Can I make a
I'm gonna keep that.
suggestion?
yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
I heard a lot of discussion, I think I heard general agreement, but I never heard a motion approving the 2 extenders.
I'm motion.
Provided or voted on.
I second that motion.
I'm 2 extenders for 120, no more, and then Eric's gonna do the work to install them. And we'll verify how quality of work.
$120?
$120.
Yeah, okay, I'll third that.
So everybody
Without
have-
cameras.
No cameras yet.
Just extenders. Get the
Extenders.
extenders
Cheap
working.
asses.
We're starting somewhere, baby. Come on.
No, no,
We're
I
starting
appreciate you, brother.
somewhere.
You're
We're starting
awesome.
somewhere. We're
I'm
starting
jacking with you,
somewhere.
man.
Baby steps.
Jimmy, any vote or motion on that?
I'm for it.
Okay, Nazar?
As far as for the extenders,
Yes, sir.
yeah, there's no cameras involved, right?
No.
No camera.
Nazir is watching Netflix. Just heard his name.
All right, Darren, if you guys make a note, we've approved, the motion is passed to install 2 extenders at how much, 120?
Total, yes.
Total, $120.
Only took 6 months.
Okay, can we move on now?
Yes, sir.
Or it's already nine, I say
So
we
we're gonna
call
move
it.
on to item 6, new business, elect new officers. Any volunteers?
I nominate John Olear as vice president.
I second that.
I third that.
We don't need a third, thank you.
I'll fourth and fifth it too.
I notice how fast you guys are to volunteer. That's fine. I would be happy to be vice president.
Okay.
Do we have to vote?
I approve.
I vote in favor.
Okay, what about
Alright.
treasurer? It'd be nice to have more than a treasurer to go over the account details.
We're working on vice president right now, thank you.
Nobody's,
thank you.
nobody's volunteering.
Thank you.
You wanna make a motion? Volunteer?
I make a motion for John to be
No,
treasurer.
no.
I'm jacking with you, man.
Yeah, no.
I'll second that.
No, don't do that.
I'll third it.
No, no, I'm not doing
I
it.
actually want to be Darren.
Notice how nobody will touch
Yeah,
treasurer with a
Darren,
10-foot
Darren would be
pole.
good.
Wonder why.
Darren would be good at it.
Yeah, that's the most important.
Darren be an awesome
But
treasurer.
the greatest thing about having the management company is you don't need that. It's
Exactly.
all taken care of. They come out and show us all the paperwork, all the checks, everything that was cut,
Absolutely.
Okay.
everything.
So just for the record, was I nominated?
Yes.
Yeah,
Voted.
motion passed. Did you record that, Jimmy?
Okay.
Okay. You get that, Darren?
Who actually voted? Jimmy?
Jimmy made the motion.
Jimmy
I
made the
seconded
motion?
it. Jonathan Tulos.
Okay, Kurt, I do want to go over those transactions. I make a motion to review the transactions
You
in
cannot-
question.
No, right now, we're gonna move on to the next one, which is 6B, select a registered agent.
Write them.
We're gonna move on to that.
All your concerns, write them all down.
Yeah, just write
Put
them
it-
down. We'll talk
Put it to
about
Jimmy on the agenda. It could be next
So
topic.
selecting.
I was hoping I can do it
a
at another
registered
time, during the
agent.
month.
Currently, our registered agent, I believe, is still David Pace. We're in the process of moving the registered agent to Greg and Greg, and that got disrupted. So I believe he's still a registered agent, but we can move that to, doesn't have to be the attorneys, I guess, is what we discussed.
So I know a lot about this. I got
Okay,
a lot of registered agents that I work with, and you do not have to be an attorney to be a registered agent.
okay,
Normally, you are bonded when you're a registered agent though, because
Okay.
registered agents can, screw a lot of stuff up for you, because a lot of times they're receiving, legal service, and if they don't forward it correctly or handle it correctly, they can cause a lot of liability for you.
okay.
But you do not, now, Sharu, if you contact him, probably would accept being our registered agent, because he's, as an attorney, he's probably bonded himself already. But you do not have to be, and you can just look up registered agents, and there are people that specialize in doing nothing but being registered agents in the state of Texas.
They're extremely inexpensive.
Yeah, you just reach out to them, they charge like $50 a year.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're so cheap is because that's what they do as a business. They're bonded, and they probably have 1,000 people, so they're getting $50,000 a year for being a registered agent.
I agree. It's not a big deal. I say we just do that.
So if you want me to, I will toss my hat in the ring to find us one and propose it, send it around. If everybody agrees to it, I'll sign us up and pay the $50, and you guys don't even have to pay me back.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Sounds good. I
I'm
second
in
it.
favor of that.
I would like to add to what he's saying right there, that because we've changed attorneys back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, I would
We really
not
should just
recommend
have it,
using an attorney, but somebody that just is a
Just have it.
registered agent and using them, and that way we can stick with them, and if we change attorneys or whatever the case may be, we don't have to.
I have one that's in
You're in the
Montana,
back.
Wyoming, and Texas. I have one.
Man.
But make a motion to get another battery for the screen.
Registered agent is essentially who they send service to if they can't get in touch with anyone else,
Makes sense.
so.
That is.
I like your.
Secure point of contact.
And they can probably stay our registered agent for the next 20 years, now, even if we switch attorneys.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next thing, file periodic report with Secretary of State. Done it before, just a matter of getting the paperwork in, so we can get that done.
There's stuff like that that we should do that we haven't been doing.
Can we put a date on completion of that?
What's that?
Registering that? I usually when we do things we do, we put an actual date that it has to be done by. So you can do it before, but it can't be after that, just so
We're
we're
talking
not.
about the periodic, yeah.
Now
we-
that
Secretary.
you're president, I'm vice president, and treasurer and secretary.
Second it, I second it.
No, you.
No, not me, I thought you did.
Second.
Write that down there.
No.
Okay, you want a date, we can put a date.
Yeah, you just put a date that we just
Yeah.
complete it by, you know.
I know you have,
next
when you
month.
file the paperwork, it's fairly quick.
So just say next month,
Yeah, next month,
Yeah,
by
next
next
month.
month, let's say
Yeah.
by next.
but we have an end date that has to be completed by.
Which would be, when is our next meeting? It's the third Monday of every month. I'm gonna just put it by the next monthly meeting.
Yeah. We are gonna have to get to a point where we can all figure out how to accept each other and get past whatever happened in the past.
I agree.
And that's the reason nobody wants to touch being a treasurer, because everybody's concerned
Crazy
about
laughing.
everything that has happened in the past, and guys, we just gotta move past that.
Yes,
Somehow-
absolutely. Move
Somehow
forward.
all of us gotta figure out how to just shrug it off and move on.
I think
because-
we're all in agreement on
Yeah,
that.
so, because until that happens, nobody is gonna touch being a treasurer. It's enough work to begin with, let alone being a lightning rod.
But then again,
Yeah,
we get the management company, we don't have to worry about that. All that
Yeah.
gets
Yeah,
resolved.
that helps.
yeah.
Yes.
And then you can have a perfunctory treasurer.
Yes, yeah.
Somebody that is,
It talks to them, they give them the overview.
Ostensibly in charge of it, but is really not doing the
Exactly.
lion's share of the work.
Yes,
And that would
exactly.
be great.
They're not holding all the
Yeah.
liability either.
Yes.
I love it. I can't wait for this to happen.
Well, as soon as you guys figure it out, tell me. 'Cause I
I'll
gotta-
tell you what, the day that ever happens,
Yeah.
the day that ever happens, I will celebrate like no tomorrow.
And if we have a management company, then I might even volunteer, since I'm gonna be working on the budget
See?
anyway, but only if we have.
Absolutely. Okay, we're getting closer, we got one last
Yeah,
thing, and then maybe we'll discuss Eric's stuff, is to post an apology to the past board president on all Facebook pages that smeared him for.
I think we should
both,
have him here for that. I think we
hold
should
on,
adjourn that
hold
for
on.
Garrett to be
Let me
here.
finish, stop interrupting. Smeared him for no embezzlement of money from the marina and no burglary of a building. Yeah, I agree with Eric, I don't know what happened there, he maybe got bored and had to leave or something, but, you know, as far as the Facebook pages, that's kind of iffy. I mean, us as a board to apologize to him, if the board falsely accused him of anything, I think the board simply was doing at the request of the members, initiating the investigation, which we did because there were questions. As far as Facebook and other people making accusations, I mean, these are the people that really need to apologize to the guy. You know, I think the fact that there was, and Officer Aber brought this up, in the end, he was innocent, so there was no embezzlement of the money, and there was no burglary of a building, according to his court case out there, but yeah, it'd probably be good for Garrett to be here, so if you guys wanna move that to the next meeting.
I second
he's
it.
here to hear
I
that.
second that.
So just a question, because
Yeah.
I am completely oblivious to anything
Right.
that may have happened. That was the gentleman that was sitting
Yes.
right here?
Correct.
Okay, all right, and there was accusations made against him, but.
It was before us. It was
Yeah.
before us.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we'll move that to the next month then.
Now, one thing I will say, is that we do need 1099s or EIN or social, otherwise we're obligated to pay for taxes for the income earned by Contractors Unlimited.
Taxes is something we kind of need to discuss here. It wasn't on the agenda, but it needs to be. So Garrett, his company, whoever, they filed an extension, but what I understand is we have not finished
Did they
filing.
file an extension, or did they not?
I heard that they filed an extension, so the bookkeeper.
I'm not so sure, you need to contact Garrett and ask Garrett about that.
We need to know,
I'm not sure about
because
that.
if that's the
Last time I talked to
case-
him, he said that was one of the dollar amounts that he couldn't trace down. I think was the audit, so you need to talk to Garrett about that, and find out where we stand with that, he would have more information on that.
Yes, we need to ask him, if he knows.
Who is doing the taxes last year.
So apparently Garrett's parents knew somebody in another state, and he was the one that was doing the taxes.
The auditing firm had done that when I was president. It was the first year we had that auditing firm. And they charged us $200 to do the taxes, which was like a quarter of what it had been the years before that.
I was gonna say, that's amazingly low. I can also tell you that you do not have to have a TIN, for, somebody that you pay funds to. You can report it, but, the problem will be probably actually for the person that you've reported it haven't gone to, if the IRS steps in. Okay, so you can, even a CPA firm will allow you to do that. I've been in those situations where usually at the end of any given year, we have, maybe a dozen people that we've paid money to that we can't, actually associate with a tax identification number. We can still report it as having been an expense, but we just can't label who it went to. So it can be reported by the CPA firm, that way. It's just,
Interesting.
it's basically just an expense,
Okay.
you just can't, you're just not being able to say who it went to.
So from my research, it looks like Dave Martin was using a gentleman by the name of Kanur Nagash, and I had his phone number. Then Garrett's CPA, his name was Nick Ash, and I got the phone number. I forget how I got this information. But then I spoke to somebody, they indicated, well, he didn't file taxes, he just filed an extension. So we need to confirm with Garrett whether he
$200.
actually, filed an extension or actually did the taxes. But the bookkeepers need that information, they said.
Yeah.
So it's a question mark till we talk to Garrett apparently. So,
Hey, Kurt, I got a
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, one, is there any way we can bypass, Garrett and find out through the state or whoever, as far as the extension was filed? Because it seems like Garrett, first of all, I mean, there's some people who drug his name through the mud, and I don't think he's gonna be too cooperative, and if he does, he might give you some bullshit information. So, is there a way we can bypass him and just go straight to the state to see if an extension was filed?
Well, I don't think this is a state thing, I think this is a
So
federal.
it's gotta be federal, because we're not selling anything, so there's no,
Sales tax.
taxes, quarterly taxes. There's-
Because usually when you pay taxes, you can look up and see if an extension was filed with a CPA.
Yeah, we'd have to get a CPA maybe to dig into this, but, I know Stacy's kind of looking into it right now. I honestly would like to have an audit done, for a lot of reasons.
I can ask my CFO, she's a CPA, but I would, suggest that we just go to our accounting firm. They should be able to give us guidance on that.
She's doing some digging now,
Okay.
the bookkeeper, so, I'll check with her, but I guess if Garrett's willing to tell us what he knows about the status, I mean.
I can
that's
find
fine.
out.
Yeah, ask him if he can tell us whether it was an extension filed or, taxes were actually filed. It would be nice to know.
Hey, also, who's gonna be in charge of giving him an apology?
Well, who do you want to apologize? The people that slandered him on Facebook, or you want an official apology from the board? When there's been a lot of different people doing a lot of different accusations, like we know who these people are. So I guess my question to you is, those people should apologize. As far as the board,
Yeah,
we just, well, go ahead.
If they're, no, okay, let's just keep it professional, because those meetings say you never gonna apologize. So as a board, I feel that we should apologize to them on behalf of, not those other people, but, it's just the right thing to do, just apologize to them. And fucking just throw in a $50 Olive Garden gift card, you know what I'm saying? But anyway.
Okay.
Let's send him to Florida.
Red Lobster.
John?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think we should probably just do a formal letter of the association apologizing, not each individual board member, maybe just the Wharf Marina apologizes for the outcome and the responsibility, whatever you guys want to format it, but for our wharf, draft up a big letter and stuff like that, he could have, exactly. Then we could present that to him and we can say, sorry.
Is
Make
he
it
asking
the
for
first
this?
item on the agenda next.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, just like the front off.
Yeah.
He has not.
Is he asking for this?
He has not. The detective said it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
He said
Okay,
that more than
so-
once.
And we could draw a letter up.
But he
first.
hasn't asked.
So, you know, I was not involved at the time,
Me neither.
and so I really,
Neither was
it's hard for
John.
me to have a strong opinion about what we should or shouldn't do, but I would throw out there that if you apologize for doing something, especially for slander,
Liability.
you're acknowledging that you slandered, and then you're opening yourself up to be sued
True.
for slander. Just,
How about the
Throwing
attorney
that out
gets
there.
involved in this
I
one?
think that the attorney probably should take a quick once over on that, because, and
Good catch,
again,
John.
you know, and there's also, I have become involved with this because I shut an office down in Baton Rouge, laid off about 30 people, and a few of them decided to slander me pretty extensively, and had conversations with our corporate attorney, who told me that there are different types of slander, and one of them is essentially slander de facto. In other words, and the most compelling version of that is if you accuse somebody of a crime who has not been adjudicated as having committed that crime, there is no question whether you've slandered them or not. You have slandered them. The only question is damages, okay? So if we have accused somebody of a crime and publicated that, they have been slandered de facto, and now the only question is, so now we would be acknowledging that, and I would just caution us that if we acknowledge that in an open letter, we are basically opening ourselves up to writing him a check, if he so chose.
Well, now Kurt did already apologize to Dave Martin for a very similar situation. So I don't see a problem with an apology that Kurt delivers when Garrett is here in person.
Well, the funny thing about that, though, that was a president of the board was making an accusation against a former president. In this case, it
What-
was Garrett himself.
What was the accusation? What was the circumstances? I think that should be, if it were me in my company, the attorney would be looking at that very closely. And I would suggest that Sharu should at least, it's worth his
Yes.
$200 fee for an hour of his time. to
We
look
better
at
buy him a
letter.
$200 gift card then. Who said that? Was that you?
No, that was,
Don't waste the money on the attorney, let's give him a gift card then,
I'm
damn.
just saying, I mean, you were writing a letter to a guy that says that, hey, I slandered you, man.
Right.
And all he's gotta do is turn
Take that
around
to
then
court.
and say, by the
Well,
way.
he gave a neutral apology to Dave Martin. It was, hey, apologize that these things came into play. And it was just.
It had to be
forgotten.
That is,
Said,
and that
Here's
is,
a gift card to,
that is the guidance that the attorney will give you once you write whatever you wanna write.
Right.
That's
It's
just
worth the
my-
$200.
Yeah, it's worth $200 to me, it would be worth $200.
how about no apology, just give him a gift card
Dennis, what would
then.
you think about that?
Where's this,
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll contact the attorney and get them to look at
Well, let's
it.
take a vote on that. I say just give him a gift card then.
I would say that somebody writes the letter, try to make it as benign as possible, as non-committal as possible,
Yeah.
but still express.
From the information we
And then,
found.
yeah, and
gathered.
then let the attorney do a once over on it and get it, you know, that's how I would.
Wasting more attorney fees.
It's a,
Then I would.
Cost you a lot
then
more if you don't.
Yep.
If the attorney's not gonna look at it, then I would make a motion that we don't write it.
Do it.
Because to write that letter opens us
That's
up
what
to
he has-
pure
he
liability.
has it- he
And
has
then what about
pure
not a
liability.
letter with, hey, we apologize.
It is like writing a letter to somebody and saying, hey, I'm sorry, it was my fault that I ran into
To your
your
car.
But then, yeah, no letter,
And
no
now-
letter, just apologize to the
Yeah.
man in person. Hey, we apologize that you were investigated by League City PD, you know, you
What if
went
he's
down
re-
there.
But what if he's recording it? It's,
Huh?
Yeah.
What if he's recording it? It's just as good as a letter in
Yeah.
court.
And by the way, and by the way, the attorney will give us the actual guidance about
Yeah,
how this has
I
to
agree.
be stated, you know?
Then I would motion not even do it then at that point, if we had to pay for an attorney.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion that, we have the attorney review it then.
I would second that motion.
I started.
Okay,
Okay, I'll motion for a gift card then instead. Was it Olive
I
Garden?
think the
they said?
motion passed
And that's what said, I'll look at it.
for Kurt to write the letter and the attorney to take a quick look at it.
I think the attorney should write the letter.
Yeah, I agree,
That's fine too.
Yeah, I don't wanna write the letter, cause,
You know, he might tell you don't write the letter, period.
yeah.
Alright, let's give them
get
the
some
option to take either the attorney letter or the gift card.
No, let's not give him a gift card, let's just lay a gift card on the table and
There you
nobody
go.
grab it.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll grab it, you know.
Okay.
okay, so, on a serious note?
Serious note,
Okay,
attorney review.
alright, I'll, reach out and.
Yeah, has this been voted on now?
No, it has not been
There
voted
was a
on.
motion.
Yeah,
I
I
just
motion.
heard
motion.
one person against. I think I heard
Three,
four in favor, and I have
Correct.
no idea what the phone says.
Alright, can I make a motion to supersede that and ask
No,
Garrett what he
you can't.
prefers?
The motion has to be voted on.
I'm not talking to
You
him,
can't
I'm talking
go
to
after
him.
him.
Can I make a
Another
motion to ask Garrett what he would prefer to have?
No, we're gonna do this the right way. So are you listening in, Nazar?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we hire our attorney to write this, letter and to review the situation and give us his legal opinion on how we should proceed with this.
I'll second that.
Can hear you?
I second it.
Yeah, I think you take the
Okay.
Olive Garden.
So that's, you said it's all
Gift
good
card
and
over
means
that
you're in favor,
shit.
is that
Yeah,
correct?
He's gonna look at that paper and go,
Okay, so Jimmy,
Assholes.
yeah,
I'm in favor.
he's not gonna give a
Okay.
shit about that piece
John?
of paper.
I agree.
okay, Eric,
Hell no.
okay,
I think give him a gift card.
okay, motion passes.
Just to clarify the motion, the motion is that you will confer with the attorney and decide how to proceed.
Okay,
Yes.
Is that, okay.
writing that down, Jimmy?
Yep.
Okay.
Which may or may not be a letter.
We got a lot done this meeting. A lot of things that come
Okay,
up.
but we didn't look at the transactions yet. I do wanna look at these transactions.
Okay, how many, how long, what's
Then
the,
if not, I need to sit on the
what-
phone with you and schedule time right now. Maybe we can do this, day
what
after
is,
tomorrow.
what is the purpose of this?
There's transactions that I don't know what they're for on the bank account that I need to understand, that we all need to understand what these charges are.
Okay,
I haven't looked at them, so I can't.
Let's
Okay.
print them all out,
Yeah.
all
No,
the
I have it
transactions.
right
we
here.
have.
It's all right here.
Yeah, but not the phone, but letters, we can all look
Yeah,
at
we
it and
use a
review it,
paper
and
or
then
email
then we
or
can-
Well, you
time
can look
to
at it, it's
chew
just,
it.
it's just log into the bank account
Mhm.
and just look at all of them. I mean, there's so many names, I don't know who they are, what they're going to, what they're for, and I wanna look at those transactions. But also, I wanna come to a determination that we understand that this is a democracy, that you can't use the guise of emergencies and maintenance to embark on something, because that's not a provision you're authorized to do, under chapter 209 and the bylaws. You don't have that provision to go forward with that. This is a democracy that does have to be approved by the board on transactions.
I think Officer, Hebert made it pretty clear that it's common sense, if there's an emergency,
You gotta take care of
you
it.
gotta take care of it.
Sure, and I agree, send on a quick message to the entire board. If it's an emergency, yes, absolutely.
I disagree. I think that that the nature of the emergency dictates the response, and if there's a main that's a 3-inch main that's broken open, that he should be able to call a plumber and say, get down here and fix it, and if it's $1,500.
Well, real simple, let's just go by the law then. Let's just see what the law says on that.
Again,
And I know what state law says on that.
I think that if we're going to get into where we're interpreting 209.
It's not, it's cut and dry.
That it should be an attorney's opinion, not any of ours. So if we really wanna go down that route, we should ask Sharu for his opinion. But
Well, I'm
I
gonna tell you
think
what
that it's-
every HOA is obligated to do, is follow state law,
Yeah,
which
I
we
think
must
that it's-
do.
It's
I think
common
that's a good
sense that the nature of the emergency dictates the
necessity.
necessity.
Now,
of the
understand that?
response.
I agree.
And from a business standpoint, but I want the state law on that, which I do know the state law. And state law supersedes anything else that we're trying to
With
come up
all
with
due
here.
respect, Eric, you're not an attorney. And if I
But,
want
you know,
a
I can
legal opinion,
read it.
I will go to Sharu. I would not trust my own legal opinion about what 209
Okay,
says.
then let's do that then. This is extremely important. This is a
It's important to
democracy.
you. Why is
This
it so
needs to
important
be
you?
board
It's
approved.
important to you. Is it important to you if we call the plumber because we got a 3-inch leak out here?
No, I'm talking, okay, what I'm talking about,
No,
Jimmy.
Does it bother you? Does it
Okay.
bother the attorney?
Now, what
We
I'm
got a
talking
water line
about,
busted
Jimmy,
right
is
here.
$8,000 in
Does
attorney
anybody-
fees.
does
What I'm talking
anybody
about is
think that we
$5,000
don't
for
need to do that?
GoDaddy. What I'm talking about is personal secretaries,
You're
laptops,
talking
on
about
and on and on and on.
past stuff, past stuff. I
been
say we
reimbursed.
adjourn this meeting.
Okay, well, I want to look at these transactions, Kurt, are we going to do that?
Anybody adjourn the meeting?
Walk on, no. Walk on items, I'm going to 2 hours.
Oh, well, then, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You're right.
I will keep it very brief.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Kurt, are we
I
gonna
submitted before the meeting a DocBox variance form. I would like to put a DocBox by my Doc 1622. I submitted the form. It's weird, I don't, you see where it requires a signature from any of the board, but you have it now. And I also included a copy from Amazon of the DocBox new, and that I will.
I have absolutely no problem with anybody that wants to put a doc.
Approved.
Approved.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Third, fourth,
Doc 16, slip 22, this was back in November, December. Kurt and I went around and looked at all of the